Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for November 10, 2024. We're doing our final thoughts here for the Week 10 NFL picks. We're going to have player prop bets as well. And as always, a lot of nonsense here on our Saturday show. Before we get to our co-host here, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing one of them, Cole's Body, Cole's Choice, which generates like some confusion whenever I wear it. People are like, "Who's Cole? What happened?" I'm like, some people, his employer forced him to take an experimental drug, and they wanted to take his job away because he didn't want it. And people are like, "Oh, that's horrible! I can't believe they would do that." So it's completely just not understanding. Yeah, you can get that $17.16 here, 20% off sale, and we have our new shirt. Tom, I don't know if you saw this. Make garbage great again. After Joe Biden called Republican voters garbage, we're making garbage great again. So this is the Muppet I made. I said, ask Grok. I'm like, please make an orange Muppet that resembles Donald Trump and also Oscar the Grouch, and this is what it came up with. So that was pretty cool. It took a while to get the right one, but I like it. So also please consider super chats, super stickers, all that will mean a lot to us. Thursday we had a couple of super chats from John Sanders and also Jesse Citron, and also more recently Slew as well. You guys have been so great with your contributions, and I always say that these YouTube ads pay nothing. Like I always joke, and it's true. Like I can go outside, collect some change, at the playground, like a block down, or around the neighborhood, the cul-de-sac up here. Like I could get some change, and I'll make more money than I do on the show. So these contributions via super chats, super stickers are just so important to us to keep the show going. So it really means a lot. So please consider helping us there, or you can go to Amazon, buy my books, Jerks to the College Years. It is according to Amazon, it is offensive. So you guys might like that. Also, how the 2020 MVP was stolen. But anyway, without further ado, we are joined by Quacky T. Tom, how's it going?
Walt, so glad to be here after a week off. I was on the road for work. And when I'm on the show, it's going to be a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. Hey, I was thinking today real quick. So I guess where I went to lunch today, I went to Arby's for lunch. Have you ever been to a lot? There's a lot of strong opinions on Arby's. How do you think a place like that stays in business? Out of all the fast foods that you hear people talking about, you never really hear anyone promoting Arby's. I'm pro Arby's.
I feel like Arby's is like, I've never heard anyone say I hate Arby's. I've never heard anyone say I love Arby's unless you're the first one. It's always like, or some people say they love their curly fries. I always found the food to be just mediocre.
Yeah.
I could eat there no problem, but I'm never like dying to go there. It's never like one of my top 10 choices to eat out. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just, I guess it makes me wonder, like, as I drive around, it's like, there's so many different places to eat now. Think of all the chains, like all the different restaurants that are out there, then the mom and pop owned places. And we haven't even gotten to grocery stores. Like, it just says a lot about how much people are eating out and like also how many people are in the world. Anyhow, I always got to open the show with some sort of nonsense. Last time it was the gum. Now it's Arby's and what demographics are, or what sample size of people are eating where. But we've got a lot to. Yeah, go ahead.
We had someone comment negatively about the gum. Actually, I ate at Wendy's on Friday. I love their taco salad. So good.
I haven't had that in a long time. It is pretty good.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
I didn't even know they still had it.
Yeah, they do. That's what I get whenever I go. I get a taco salad, I get a Baconator, and large fries.
Wow.
You guys wonder why I'm so fat here. So
Wendy's taco salad is the official sponsor of the Walter After Dark show. Only on Saturdays, though, when I'm on talking about these matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, we got a lot to get into, Walt. I'm looking forward to it. This has been an interesting week. At first, I didn't have a lot of strong opinions here, and over the last night or so, I have a couple stronger opinions, so looking forward to getting into it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Can either you play receiver? Asking you for a friend? Yeah, the Bills are in a tight spot here at receiver. Oh, I can live. Shaquille's still there.
I can play long snapper, and that's it. Yeah, I'm top of the list for long snapper, John, but I don't think you guys need that. But wide receiver, absolutely not.
Did you play the intramural football when you were a freshman?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because I don't know. I couldn't remember if you were on the team, but I was asked to fill in for 1 week because some guy had like a midterm or something. And I think I false started on the first play. I felt like such an idiot, like receiver. I just started running, and just like they didn't snap the ball. I'm like, oh man, I got too excited here.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
yeah.
I remember one time. So when I was living in Pennsylvania, I came down to visit my family in Florida, and my cousin went to UCF. Interestingly enough, years later, I ended up going to UCF and graduating from UCF. But at the time, I wasn't. So I was visiting him, and he was on an IM slow pitch softball team. So they're like, hey, we just have like a random ID that we found on the ground. They just check, like, to make sure you have a student ID and that you're a student. They're not going to like really inspect it and like match it. These umpires are just like fellow students, so they don't care that much. So they had me, like, gave me this random ID, and like, yeah, sure enough, you just flash it up. So I was a ringer on this slow pitch softball team. First pitch, I hit a home run. I was murking. But here's the most important part of that day, Walter. There was a guy on the other team. It's IM, so it's co-ed. There was a male on the other team. This is slow pitch softball. He struck out looking in slow pitch softball. What are you doing, man? That's got to be the only time that's ever happened in the history. I mean, we're talking like he took like 6 pitches. It was a full count. I remember. It's like, dude, I'm up there trying to swing at every pitch in slow pitch softball. That's a violation. You can't do that. If I ever had a way to find that guy, I think he needs a stern talking to.
I had no hand-eye coordination, so I probably would have struck out as well.
But not looking. You would swing.
Yeah.
You're up there to play slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
And like you're a dude. That's a pretty serious violation. If you have it, for those who want to, I want to hear some of the comments. See all of you weigh in for those who care. You can't do that. You cannot strike out looking in slow pitch softball. For those unfamiliar with baseball, striking out looking is when you strike out without swinging. In slow pitch softball, I'm done. We can get into it now.
Okay. What's your favorite Russian food? I'm not a huge Russian food fan. I do like borscht, but it depends on who makes it. There are a couple things they're okay, but like generally I just like American food better. Did you see Jalen Milroe? He ran for 4 touchdowns today. I think he's going to go top 10, maybe top 5. But I'd be pretty shocked if he didn't go top 10. I think he'll be the third or fourth quarterback, maybe the third. I think that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the first one, and then Cam Ward's going to be the second, and then I think it's going to be Milroe. Yeah, exactly. Behind Sanders and Ward. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ewers. I suppose like is it going to be Ewers or Milroe for number 3? That's what I'm thinking. And then Charlie posted a report today or yesterday saying that teams. He talked to 8 teams, and none of them had a first round grade on Carson Beck, who has been like in the first round of every single mock draft I've seen. So I kind of agree with that assessment. I never saw a first rounder. But I thought teams might have him in the first round, but they don't. So RFK says Trump is going to pull troops out of Syria. No Pompeo or Haley. Great. Yeah, I was happy to hear that. Putin wants to repair U.S. relations. Call with Zelensky did not discuss aid. Kamala says she's from a middle class family. I love how that ended. It's looking great. I was hoping that he wouldn't have Pompeo or Haley in there. He's like no. He's like, he's not. They're not going to be in it. He's like, I love working with them, but they're not going to be part of this administration. So he must have not liked working with them if he's not going to have them again, which is great news. So off to a good start. We'll see how it goes, but I'm optimistic. Who's that hotshot Colorado running back corner projected to be top 5 pick? That's Travis Hunter. Well, he's a receiver / corner, but yeah, I mean he can play so many positions. He's probably going to be the first non-quarterback taken in this draft. So unless like someone emerges or something. All right,
who's that running back out of Boise State? What's Janty or Janty? I've actually never heard his name. I've read about it. He has like 18 touchdowns. What's his name? Austin Janty or something?
It's pronounced Genty.
Genty, okay.
Yeah. He's good. I think I have him in the top 15. Yeah. So no, he's really talented. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see a running back go that high anymore, with Jahmyr Gibbs being the exception in the last few years.
Bijan as well.
Oh, that's right. I wasn't thinking, but usually that doesn't happen nowadays. So yeah. I'm glad to see that, because we talk about the running back position and how it's, I mean, they have the shortest average career. Do they not in the NFL running back? And you can just see that from the eye test. It's just like I think about guys that were really great running backs for teams, and like 2-3 years later they're gone. Look at like DeMarco Murray, or you know what I mean. And that's just one example, but there's really a rotating door of them. So I don't know. I'm glad to see that. I hope that continues. So anyhow,
yeah, running backs definitely have the shortest lifespan for, and that's kind of like what, and they get hurt so often. It's kind of like the criticism of why they don't go in the first round. I have him going 11 to Dallas. I feel like the Cowboys would take him. I would not take him in the top 16. Not nothing to do with his talent. Like he's incredible, but just you can find running backs anywhere.
I don't think Dallas is going to take him. They're fine at running back. They've got Zeke Elliott.
And Dalvin. Don't forget Dalvin Cook.
Oh no, yeah, he's cooking up something.
Yeah, no, I do like Rico Doodle in best ball.
Remember Magna Doodle?
Yeah. No.
Sorry,
Rico Doodle, I've been drafting him in like the 7th round. Rico Doodle in best ball. He's already has. I call him Doodle on here because one of our guests on here called him Doodle by accident. So it just.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Will QB taking personal role? I'd be shocked if that doesn't happen. If a team like the Patriots get the first pick, obviously they're not going to take a quarterback, but they're going to trade out. Like someone's going to move up for Shador Sanders. Pastor saying Joe Rogan's trying to set up a Trump. I saw that Trump, Dave Smith, and Rogan podcast. It would be the best podcast of all time and best shot for ending the Fed and creating peace. Yeah, the ending the Fed is the big thing for me. But yeah, obviously creating peace would be awesome as well. I saw Dave Smith talk about that. That would be incredible. I hope that happens. Shorter Sanders at 3-1 and Ward 6-1 be taken overall. A good bet. I think so. Yeah, I think you're. I think you project well to do there. You project well to win money there. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be one of those two. Now, like someone could come out of nowhere. That has happened before, but I'd be shocked if it's not one of them. So I think that you could do it. What sportsbooks are you getting that at? Because I can't bet the draft in PA. I have to go to New Jersey to the
Trenton Thunder.
I was trying to Samuel J. Palmieri Jr. Field parking lot. That is where I bet the draft. So if you were to tell me if FanDuel, okay. I think that's good. I'll ask Charlie. You know what? I'll ask Charlie and see what he says because he's the one you should listen to with the draft. But if Charlie gives it the green light, I will let you know on here. So all right, let's get to the games here. So we unfortunately. So here's the good news. Good news, bad news. The good news is that this is our final London/Germany game. This one's in Munich. The bad news is that we still have one left. So we have to get up at 9 a.m. or 6 a.m. if you're on the West Coast. So, set your lineups, do DraftKings stuff, and then or bet the game, and then prepare to watch this amazing game between these 2-7 teams. So we have the Giants 6.5. Giants are minus 6.5. The Panthers are getting a lot of bets going their way. They're like 71% of the action is on Carolina just because they beat the Saints last week, or it might be because people are looking at that and saying like, oh, Giants minus 6.5. How do you bet that? And like, honestly, I don't know how you bet that, but I'm probably going to be in the Giants. That's what it says on the site. I don't like it though. I'm not going to bet it. What I am betting is Malik Neighbors over 71.5 receiving yards. The Panthers are awful against outside receivers, and they don't pressure the quarterback, so they're not going to be able to get to Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is going to have a lot of time in the pocket. So I love Neighbors. I don't have a same game parlay yet. I'm going to post one soon. But yeah, who do you like in this game?
Well, I'm on the opposite side on two fronts here. One, you don't like the overseas games? Come on, man. I saw you preparing your bratwurst and sauerkraut for 9 a.m. tomorrow. You're going to be – I can't believe you're so upset. I love these early games. I know. I guess it cost you sleep, though, huh? I don't know. I like the Panthers here, actually. I don't know. After that's horrible the Slava NFL.
Slava NFL. Make sure you guys tweet at Goodell. Get him to get an NFL in Ukraine game.
So I'm not going to after that horrible 2-point conversion attempt against the Steelers. I can't take this Giants team ever again. I just don't want to take. I can't take him seriously. Yeah, obviously Neighbors is a bright spot on there. Tracy has looked good out of the backfield too. But the Panthers did just win a game too. I'm just kind of surprised that the Giants, as bad as they have, I mean, the Panthers have been bad too. Make no mistake, and I think I'm stating the obvious there. But I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised to see the Giants overseas -6.5. They've looked absolutely horrible. And while the Panthers have too, I don't know. They just won a game. I feel like this could be a 3 or 4 point game. I'm probably not going to take it, but I do like the Panthers here.
Okay, well, we're on opposite sides of everything. Well, hopefully you like the neighbor stuff, but no, these overseas games need to go. If they won per year, that's okay. Or if they want to give Jacksonville double games, that's okay. Only because we get that second Jacksonville game where they have that great advantage. But otherwise, I don't want to see any more international games. Today, Goodell said he wants a Berlin game. So I'm like, well, they already have one in Munich. So like, what's the difference here? I don't. I like. Unless it's in Ukraine, I don't want to see it. I just want an NFL to build a stadium in Ukraine, and just so I can laugh at them.
Do you remember I want to say it was like maybe 6 or so years ago, there was like an article where Goodell was like, or maybe not considering, but there was the thought of having the Super Bowl hosted in another country, like England.
Oh, he said that recently too.
So did he say it recently too? Why would anyone? Why would any or oh no, the other that, but also the other thing I was thinking, he said maybe he'd put an NFL team in London. That would like who would want to do that? Like they're going to have to travel half the time, and like it just doesn't make any sense. Like half their games are, I don't know.
It's not just that. Like they're going to have to somehow win in free agency over the American teams. Like you're going to have to convince players to go overseas permanently.
Yeah.
And so some might want to do that, but I imagine most wouldn't. Especially given that you have to deal with the foreign currency as well. You wouldn't be paid in dollars; you'd be paid out in pounds or whatever, or wherever it is. So
Prussian francs.
Yeah, Ukrainian rubles. I bet those worth a lot.
Pay them in a dead currency. No, but could you imagine that? Then they make the playoffs.
Yeah,
and then like they have to like whether they're on the road or at home. It's like you imagine like you got to go to the NFC Championship game in London, and you're I don't know, or any championship, and you live on the West Coast.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're the Jaguars, right? Let's say the Jaguars get good, and they're the London Jaguars, and they're hosting the let's just say this is the LA Chargers, right? The Chargers have to go to London. Like, think about how long that flight is.
It's at least 12, at least 10 hours. I'd say probably 11 or 12.
Yeah, it's usually these teams that play in Europe are usually East Coast teams. Like, if you look at all of them, the first week was Jets and Vikings, East and Central time. The next one was Jaguars Bears, East and Central time again. Next one, Patriots Jaguars, both Eastern time. Now we have New York and Carolina, both Eastern time. Like they haven't given these to Midwestern or Western teams. Yeah. That it's happened like a couple times. I remember the Seahawks doing it, and I remember the Chargers playing the Saints once. But it's almost always Eastern or Central time. So it's just a logistical nightmare, and I think that's kind of like why Goodell is talking about having a game in Australia, because then you would send the West Coast team to Australia. Which I don't know. I like. I'm sure Ben Wassey would love it, but like I don't even know when you would start these games. I hate it. What if they have the Super Bowl in London or wherever in Europe as Goodell wants? Like, are they going to start at 9:30 a.m. too? Because like think about it, if they start at 6:30, which is generally when they start the Super Bowl, it's going to be 11:30 at night there. So you can't start at 6:30. So it has to be like either it's I guess it would start at like 1 o'clock here or 2 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock here, and it start at 7 there. Like I don't know. It's the dumbest thing. It won't work.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyhow, we can move on. Sorry, I don't mean to get us off on a tangent here.
Yeah, CHR Wedge says drafting these quarterbacks is mostly flopping when they get to the NFL. A lot of them do flop, but you always get the CJ Stroud or the Jaden Daniels. Like that's the dream, is getting one of them. Theo Johnson receiving only a 23.5, too low in my opinion. I was looking at how Carolina does against tight ends. They've only allowed one tight end this year to exceed expectations. So I'm not too keen on that. Like it could hit. Like don't get me wrong, you could probably do well with that one. But generally, Carolina is weakest to outside receivers and running backs. I just have this like list of like how players exceeded expectations by position versus each team. And Carolina running backs have exceeded expectations 5 times this year since I'm not including week 1, 5 times since week 2. Outside receivers have exceeded expectations 6 times, and then tight ends once. So just bet the outside receivers and running backs here for against the Panthers. So you have Tyron Tracy. You have obviously you have Malik Neighbors. Slayton's out, so you can't do him. But my saving parlay is going to have Tracy and Neighbors in it, and then a couple of players for the Panthers as well. Cassandra says, "F these early foreign travesties." Yes, 100%. They need to stop. Again, one per year, maybe 2. That's it. And I actually would prefer 0. But like if you have to compromise, then just 1. But I don't want to see any of them anymore. All right, let's get to the next one. So you have Bills and Colts. The line is 4. John Sanders mentioned the Bills need some help at receiver. Amari Cooper's injured. Keon Coleman's already been ruled out, so it's only like Khalil Shakir, I guess, and I suppose like Matt Collins and stuff. So it's pretty bleak here for Buffalo. But of course, they have other great players. Defensively, though, I think this is a good matchup for the Colts because the Bills are weakest against running backs and slot receivers, and that's where the Colts are strongest with Jonathan Taylor and Josh Downs. So I like the Colts here, especially with Buffalo maybe looking ahead to the Chiefs game. I'd be shocked if they weren't looking ahead, especially coming off the win against Miami at the last second. I don't see any player props here that I like. I wanted to bet Josh Downs, but his yardage was so high already. It just like people just bet it up, and that's what happened last week too. And we ended up losing by I think like 2 yards or something. So yeah, I don't want to bet a bad number, so I'm going to pass on that. So what do you think about this game?
I know we put the Colts on our super contest card. I didn't really love them at first, but I like them. I like them a little bit more now. Buffalo has been a really weird team. Despite their record, I mean, who have they really beaten? Okay, Arizona, the Dolphins twice. Okay, they've been a train wreck. And that first win against Miami was the game that Tua got hurt.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, the Jets. They should have lost that game to the Jets. The Titans, the Seahawks, and then they played a close one against Miami again just this past week. And didn't cover, by the way. I don't know. They've just kind of been a weird team. Coleman's injured now. Amari Cooper is just a question mark in a new system too. The Colts have also been really hard to figure out though, but they have put together some. I don't know. I like them. They put together some good games too, and some good covers most importantly. But I really like them in this spot here, especially with this number. This number really looks to me. And this applies to a couple other games this week too, at least in my opinion, where it really looks like they're trying to invite you to take Buffalo here. I think if the line were 6, people might still bet Buffalo here. But like I said, reading off all those victories they've had, nothing super impressive, and they should have lost that game to the Jets. I like that the number seems a little too easy for Buffalo. So I like the Colts. I like them a good bit here today or tomorrow, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know where I am. I'm on London time. Yeah, that's it.
There you go. Nice.
German time. I'm getting ready for the game. Go ahead.
Yeah. You're in Munich right now. We didn't tell anyone, by the way.
Yeah. Live. This is the live German podcast. We've got eyes on the ground. Quacky T, our most reliable source here.
for no reason, you're in Munich.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of reminds me. Remember, ESPN used to have like Sports Center live from LA, and it's like, well, who cares if you're live from LA?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here in Munich. I'm not even going to the game. I'm just here to do this show to show like how we'll travel.
Yeah. Stone Papa Smurf asking Mac Jones, Parker Washington stack in DFS. Well, you'll save money. I don't know if you'll score points. Let me read you Mac Jones's stat line from last year when blitzed, and that's important because Minnesota blitzes at the highest clip in the NFL. Last year he was 50 of 81 for 472 yards. That's a 5.8 YPA. 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. That's how Mac Jones did against the Blues last year. So it's a pretty rough spot for him against Minnesota's defense. Anytime you get a backup quarterback against the top 12 defense, just avoid it. In fact, just go Minnesota defense. I think. I know it's a way to be contrarian. I think you should be contrarian elsewhere. I just don't see that like panning out. Last time Bills won in Indy, Doug Flutie was the starting quarterback. Wow. That was a long time. Remember the Flutie versus Rob Johnson debates that always used to happen. There's always like fans who are like, oh, it has to be Rob Johnson, or people are like, oh, it has to be Doug Flutie. I was always in the Flutie camp personally. But
Doug Flutie. That's a long time ago. Yeah.
By the way, Doug Flutie, Drew Brees, by the way, was benched in his third year as a starter. Doug Flutie replaced him in the Chargers.
Really?
Yeah, for a few years.
Wow,
I was a Rob Johnson guy. Flutie was a dick. Rob Johnson was like that California guy who just didn't care. I was like, at least like Flutie just seemed to like always put forth his best effort. Whereas it felt like Rob Johnson was just coasting on his talent. I don't know. That's what I got from it. But I don't know. Who knows? I was in high school back then, so what do I know?
Should go with Jim Miller.
Yeah, Fat Jim Miller. Fat Jim Miller. He was great. He was great for 1 year in 2001 Bears.
Big up respect, man.
Yeah. He's so fat. Anyway, Vikings at the Jaguars. This is a free square in the Super Contest. It's -4.5. It was 7 and went to 6.5. I think there's still a chance Trevor Lawrence plays, and I think that's why it's 6.5 and not 7. I assume it's going to go to 7 or even higher once it's announced that Lawrence isn't going to play. Like there was so many reports saying that Lawrence isn't going to play. Even if he does play, like we saw at the end of last year, he just wasn't effective. So I like the Vikings here. If it's Mac Jones, we talked about Mac Jones against that defense. It's so bad. Anyway, the player prop I have here, Aaron Jones over receiving yards, 17.5. It's a weird line because he's crossed 17.5 in every game since week 2. And the Jaguars are weak to pass catching backs. So Aaron Jones, 17.5. Who do you like here?
I like the Vikings, and I like them a lot. They're one of my top plays this week. Don't be fooled by this Jaguars team that just covered the last 2 games against Green Bay and the Eagles. Don't because I think that's maybe and I'm sure people who are going to bet this in real time. I mean, we already took the Vikings on the card. Are probably going to wait to see. I mean, is it? They didn't announce who's going to start yet, right?
No, not yet. We'll see.
I'll tell you what. I like the Vikings a lot more. Maybe if Lawrence starts, because last year when the team absolutely imploded, what they finished the season, I want to say like 1-6 and missed the playoffs. The last 4 or 5 games, Lawrence was hurt, and it really showed. Like he was a shell of himself. It was horrible. Like they didn't stand a chance. I remember watching them. So if he's injured, and I'm not rooting against the guy by any stretch. I hope he's okay. But if he plays injured, like we've seen that has not worked out.
Yeah.
That has not worked out. And and also they don't have Christian Kirk. The Jags are a team I feel like I've been waiting for them to turn the corner. Like, okay, this game I think they'll get it together. This game, and they haven't yet. I don't think they're going to. If Mac Jones is in, that's terrible. If Lawrence is in playing hurt, that's just as bad maybe. I really like the Vikings in the spot. Like I said, I know the Jags covered the last 2 games against 2 very strong teams, but I actually like them in the last 2 weeks. I thought they were going to cover. Those were weird spots for them, so I think the Vikings running up on them. Like I said, they're one of my favorite plays this week.
Glad to hear it. Chris says the Jaguars suck. Mac Jones against Brian Flores would be like Zach Wilson versus Belichick. Yeah, that's sadly we lost that because Belichick used to play against Zach Wilson twice a year, and he used to just kick his butt like twice a year. It's just like a free bet all the time. The Patriots versus the Jets.
Yeah. Hey, where's Mathiasen, man? This is 2 weeks in a row. Last week I wasn't on, but I was in the comment section saying I like Minnesota. He's never here when I like Minnesota, and then comes on and says I never take the Vikings. So Mathiasen, if you watch this later, I'm with you. Big up.
Yeah. Big up favorite targets for DFS. I know Brock Purdy's chalky. I do like him. Deebo Samuel, I think, is my favorite receiver. Although I like Josh Downs too, 6,200. Ray McLeod. Drake London's going to play. I actually think that helps Ray McLeod because if Drake London wasn't there, then they'd be able to the Saints would be able to focus a little more on Raven McLeod. But the Saints are so bad against slot receivers, so I think McLeod gets there. Taysom Hill, the Saints have no receivers, so Taysom Hill's like catching passes too, and he's running it for touchdowns, so like you can get there both ways. But actually, I also like George Kittle, so I'm considering playing 2 tight ends. So like pretty stacked with Samuel Kittle and also Taysom Hill. I think that's like a way to get cheap because there's not much good value on the slate. Like there's Ray McLeod. You mentioned Parker Washington. He's okay. I don't mind him, but I don't love it either. Nick Westbrook Akine is like okay value. There's not much to love here in terms of value. So for running backs, I think I'd like pay up here. Maybe Bijan, James Conner. I think James Conner, DeAndre Swift. I think you can play both. They're both 6,500. I like them as well, but it's going to have to be like, I guess like a balanced approach this week because I really don't see any like amazing values or anything unless you love Washington or Westbrook Akine, and I do like McLeod too. So it's a tough week for value. There's not much here. Fellas, would you play Murray or Bo, or I can go get Daniel Jones, Tua, or Herbert? See, well, I mean, I could tell you what I have. Let's see. So we have Murray. Well, for Knicks, I have Knicks projected at 16 fantasy points. I have Murray projected at let's see, where is he? I have Murray projected at 17 fantasy points. So there's that. I definitely would not play Daniel Jones over them, I don't think. And who else is there? It's Herbert. Herbert might be close. Let me look at Herbert. Herbert, I have Herbert at 19, so I have Herbert better than those two guys. But I wouldn't drop a key player just to play Herbert over them. So yeah, of the two, I would play Murray over Bo Nix. So let's see. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, you're keeping me company on a long drive home from a wedding. Interestingly, the groom's tuxedo fit him fine, unlike one of
it didn't. I actually really didn't notice that much, Walt, at your wedding that it was too big on you. So if it makes you feel any better,
you said I didn't notice too much, so you noticed a little. Well,
no, I only noticed because you pointed it out, but like it didn't look bad. It didn't look bad. I'll say that.
We are our own harshest critics, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Fair, yeah.
But I did get tailored at 205, and I did not get retailored at 165. Yeah. So.
Well, hey, better that than it's too tight. That would be worse. So.
Yeah, that's true. Well, lesson learned: if you lose 40 pounds ahead of your wedding, make sure you get retailored after you get. I just didn't even think about it, and then I was getting dressed. Like, this is not my suit. It's too big.
Yeah.
Start Connor or Hubbard. I love Connor this week. I love Connor every week. And he has a great playoff schedule, by the way. For Connor, I have him at 16 standard and 18 PPR. And for Hubbard, let's see, I have Hubbard at 15 and 17. So it's Connor by a hair. Let's see, PPR. I love this. PPR Geno Smith or Jaden Daniels. Well, Gino's on a bye. I was looking up. So,
I'll go with Daniels.
Yeah. Unless you think he's going to score negative points.
Yeah.
Which has happened with some players. Sanchez says, I'm in a bind if Amari Cooper doesn't play. I had a fantasy writer tell me to start Parker Washington. I said, without Lawrence? And he said, yes. I'm not convinced at all. Yeah, I wouldn't play Parker Washington with Mac Jones. Mac Jones sucks. Let's see. He's not.
Play Lil Jordan Humphrey.
No, don't play Lil Jordan Humphrey. I mean, if you're gonna play Bronco, I'd play Troy Franklin, but I don't like anyone there. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the next game. We have the Steelers at the Redskins. I am gonna potentially tease the Steelers up to 2.5, from 2.5 to 8.5, I should say. But I'm not like crazy about this game. I would take the Steelers. They're coming off a bye. Tomlin's an underdog. And I think the Redskins might be looking ahead just based on their actions. They're sitting Brian Robinson. They're sitting Marshawn Lattimore. Like, it seems like they're not pushing in this game, and it feels like they have bigger fish to fry with the Eagles next week in 4 days. So I think this is definitely a look ahead. So I would take Pittsburgh. I just don't trust Russell Wilson. I know he's won 2 games now, but this is against a team that's 7-2. Like, they're playing so well. So for player props, I like Pat Freiermuth over. He had 51 receiving yards in his first game with Russell Wilson. The prop's only 24.5, and the Redskins have been like very leaky to tight ends at least recently. So over 24.5 receiving yards for Pat Freiermuth. So who do you like in this game? You're on mute.
Sorry, this mic cable, like every time it goes, like it's loose, and then when it comes out, I have to re-click it. So anyhow, sorry about that. I didn't have much of an opinion on this game at first, but earlier today I did change it. I like the Steelers a decent bit. We got 2 teams on winning streaks, and it's kind of interesting. Daniels is obviously the much sexier pick here over Russell Wilson. But like you said, the Washington hockey team is going to be playing what, in all likelihood, will be a battle for first place next week against the Eagles. I think that factors in here, as you mentioned, with the injuries. One injury that I think could come into a play with the plus 2.5. Washington kicker Seibert's been ruled out, and I know they have a replacement kicker, but I don't know, with a line like 2.5. Don't be surprised if that ends up coming into play somehow. They miss one and they win by 2. I like the Steelers here. I might take them for like a unit actually. Whereas previous I didn't have an opinion at all. So yeah, I'll go Steelers.
I thought you bet more on them. It sounded like you were more confident in them than just one unit.
Oh, really?
Just from what you said, like I expected you to like say like 3 units or something.
Oh, really? Well, maybe 2. Now you're gonna. How about now you try to convince me to bet more?
Well,
and then I'll rebuke that in some way. It'll be like the next layer of the show. It's a real deep dive here with Walter and Quacky on Saturday nights. That's like you should challenge a challenge.
Yeah.
In football.
Yeah, I know. I always wondered if you could do that. Like, you lose the challenge, like, no, you should do it again.
Check it again. It's like then okay, then they reverse it again, then challenge back.
Right.
Say, hey. That's all we need, dude. Every play takes 10 freaking years to begin with.
I know.
We don't need any more of that. Scrap my challenge, the challenge idea. Let's move on.
Yeah. Redskins backup kicker is Zane Gonzalez, Little Zane.
Little Zane's in.
What must I do? Love Little Zane.
Billy Zane from Titanic, yeah.
Oh, no.
Listen to your friend Zane. Billy Zane there. Billy Zane was in Zoolander too.
Little Zane is the best. What has that guy done in the past 20 years? Because I remember he used to what's his name? What was his real name? Let's see. Zane Copeland is actually his name.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing these days, but yeah, I don't know.
I gotta look up. I almost forgot about Little. Let me see this.
Little Zane, he acted in a few movies or TV shows.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean,
it's I haven't thought of Lil Zane in a long time. This was, just the obscure finds that we have on this show. It's incredible. It really draws the crowd, I think.
Yeah, the Penn State. One of my friends, he was in a frat, and they put him in charge of the music, and he loved Lil Zane, and so like he made sure during the parties, every time there would be at least one Lil Zane song playing. Like, at least,
that's awesome. I thought you were going to tell me he was in a frat with Lil Zane. I was going to be like, dude, your boy is the man.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Lil Walt and Lil Tommy are being way too easy on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
The mental acuity of Bill behind at this point.
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch, but fair enough. What's up, Chris? Point taken.
They're like sideline reporter. Hey Russell, what do you need to do to improve in the second half? True not a shove of pressure. Be great.
Oh man.
Anyway, we have Falcons Saints. This line is a weird line. It hasn't moved at all, despite the Saints having so many injuries. Like they're down their top 3 cornerbacks plus a couple others. They're down their top 3 receivers. They're down 3 offensive linemen. Man, this is just a great spot for them though. Like they fired their coach. The Falcons are coming off 2 big wins. They already beat the Saints. I just don't see the Falcons really getting up for this game, and I think this could be a very high effort game for the Saints to kind of like, show that, hey, it wasn't me, it was Dennis Allen. That generally tends to happen when these coaches are fired. But it's just so hard to take this team with all these injuries. I don't know if I could do it. I currently have 2 units on them, and I probably will bet that. But of all the 2-unit games, actually of all the games I've listed as potential bets, like this is the one that I might cancel. I don't have any player props for this game yet. We just got news that Drake London is likely to play, but there weren't any receiving props available because we didn't know about these guys. So I might look tonight and see if we can get anything new. But right now I don't have anything. I'm probably going to look at like either Ray McLeod or Taysom Hill. So I'll let you guys know via Twitter or whatever if I have something on this game. So who do you like here?
I'm not going to touch this one, but I'm actually going to go with the Falcons here. After a hot start, remember they started off 2-0, and they're like the top offense out through week 2, and now it's just been nothing but stuff they want to forget the rest of the season. I know usually we like the angle of the game after a coach is fired with Dennis Allen out of there, but Olave's on injured reserve, and there really hasn't been, outside of those first 2 games, anything at all that can get me excited about this Saints team. Meanwhile, the Falcons, with 2 wins over the Bucs already, they're in position to wrap this division up pretty early. So I don't think they're gonna look ahead to look ahead too much in this game, especially it being a division matchup. I'm not going to touch it, I don't think, but I do like the Falcons here. So
okay, all right. Well, it's not an exciting one. This one not either, but I am going to tease the Chiefs down to -1.5 and pair it with like the Chargers and also the Eagles. Just make sure when you tease, the 2 games start at different times so you can middle potentially. I'm leaning toward the Chiefs here, but not crazy about the game. The problem is like the Chiefs allow so many backdoor touchdowns. They allowed one to Gardner Minshew 2 weeks ago. They've done that so many times over the years. And the Buccaneers kept pace with them, although I thought that was a low effort game because I thought they were looking ahead to this game, and then Buffalo after that. So they are coming off overtime on a short week, so that could hurt them. But I just think Denver matches up so poorly against the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs they're the number 2 defense, but they have 2 weaknesses. They're weak against tight ends and they're weak against number 2 receivers. Like the Broncos don't have anyone to take advantage of those liabilities. Like it's going to be Lucas Kroll or Adam Troutman at tight end. Like Kroll didn't even catch a pass last week. And then receiver too, like we joked about little Jordan Humphrey, Troy Franklin, who's just a rookie. And then there is Devon Bailey. He plays in the slot, but still, like Denver only has Cortland Sutton, a receiver, and the Chiefs double team number 1 receivers. That's why they don't produce anything against them. So Denver's going to have someone besides him and Javonte Williams produce offensively, and I just don't see that happening. But they could get a backdoor cover here, just kind of like they did against the Chargers. They didn't cover the Chargers game because the spread was lower. But still, it landed on 23-16. And like I could see that sort of result here, like 23-16, whereas like the Chiefs are up 23-9 in the fourth quarter, and then you're just sweating it out to see if there's a backdoor cover. I don't really want to have anything to do with this game outside of teasing it down. Nothing with no player props. I just don't see anything that stands out. So who do you like in this game?
I didn't really have an opinion on this one, but I have a feeling I'm about to talk myself into one here. So let's talk about these 2 teams historically over the past 2 years. I believe 2 seasons ago, and remember the last 2 years were with the whole Russell Wilson debacle. So 2 seasons ago, I believe that the Broncos, the Chiefs won both games. The Broncos covered both of those games. We're talking 2 seasons ago, 2022. I believe that's correct. Last year, the Broncos beat them one time, and we know how bad those Broncos teams were then.
By the way, worth noting, they beat the Chiefs last year, but the Chiefs were heading into Germany in the next game. Just wanted to note that.
Good, yeah, no, good to note for sure. I don't know. I feel like you had said something to me that really that I really agreed with yesterday, which is where like the Broncos, like they're just a team, like as evidenced last week against the Ravens, when they play the superior competition, they just really can't keep up. I'm paraphrasing what you said, and I feel like this could be, another iteration of that. Like, the Chiefs could really just run away with this, but God, I'm just so tired. I mean, I have so much respect for the players and what they've accomplished and Andy Reid. I'm just so tired of the Chiefs brand. Like it's just overkill. It's like a great song that you've heard too many times and you can't hear it again. Andy Reid has lost his mind. Come on, Bundle Ruski. I mean, this is getting out of control. It's every commercial. It's overkill. It's overkill. So that might play. It might be part of my bias here too. But I kind of like the Broncos here. I guess now that I'm talking about it, this is a division game. The Chiefs are the superior team, but obviously like it's crazy that they're 8-0. Yeah. For especially with some of the stats that Mahomes had like basically his first good game all season, and they're 8-0. So I don't know. I feel like historically these games have been closer with better Chiefs teams and worse Denver teams. I think after the blowout against Baltimore, it's going to be easy for, I think the public is probably going to be like, oh, well, if they lost by, that much to the Ravens, they're going to lose by a lot more, and this line is lower than that game against the Ravens. I like the Broncos here. I don't think I'm going to take it. But I don't know. I think this is going to be close. So,
the Broncos are getting the third most amount of sharp money this week.
Ooh.
Do you want to guess who the top two teams are?
The top two teams. I'm going to guess. Give me a second here. I'm going to guess the Colts, and I'm going to guess the Bears.
The Colts are a good guess. They're number 4. So they're right behind them.
Bears sounds like Bears was a terrible guess then.
Bears, there's no sharp money in the Bears in that Bears game,
except for me.
Right. The top two, number 2 is Houston, and number 1, the New York Football Giants.
Wow.
Yeah, Sharps love the Giants this week.
Wow, that's interesting. Oh, and one more point about the Chiefs. Of course, they just came off that overtime win. That was a dramatic win. Short week. That can't help them either. So. That's to add to my argument for the Broncos here, for what it's worth.
Yeah, you should note that Denver has played 2 teams currently ranked in my top 10 this year. One last week they lost to the Ravens 41-10. The other one they were down 23-0 against the Chargers, and Broncos scored 16 points to make it look close, but it wasn't. So the 2 times they've really stepped up to the upper crust. It just got demolished. So I that's why I'm leaning towards the Chiefs. I think the tease here, you don't have to worry about the backdoor cover. So that's why I like
fair point. But could I argue? I mean, yeah, like let's also not be fooled by the Chiefs record. Yeah, they're the Chiefs. Their reputation precedes them. Yes, they're 8-0. But I mean, if we really look at their schedule, let me just bring it up here real quick. I mean,
well, I know you're going to say I don't think it applies to the Chiefs though, because they tend to goof around a lot. Like they weren't putting forth their best effort in a lot of games, but if they want to, we know they can turn it on. Like we know that,
right? And fair enough. Yeah. But I'm just saying. I guess what I'm saying is I think they're over. They're still very good yet overrated. You can be both things. You can be both things.
I really don't think they're overrated. They have the number 2 defense, and Hopkins is now there to be a viable receiver, and they're getting Pacheco back soon. I think they're the best team in the NFL. I know like I said, they've had some sketchy wins for sure, but if they try hard, we know they can crush their opponents. They did in the playoffs. I feel like they're just going to do it again. I'd be surprised if they don't reach at least the AFC Championship.
Right. No, and look, I'm not trying to say that they're not any good. I think you can be both things, very good and still overrated. I just think they're a little inflated maybe, but we'll see. I think this game's going to be close. I guess you guys can pelt vegetables at me next week if I'm wrong. So
all right,
all the way from Munich,
Luck reaching Tom there. Yeah. Sandra saying, when I'll hammer the Chiefs at a big number. For once, Black Friday standalone versus the Raiders. Mahomes will not forget Christmas 2023. Almost picked them blindly.
Fair.
I think you're on something there.
I like it. Yeah.
And then Casey's not overrated. I've powered a point better than anyone else, and I still think Mahomes is MVP.
Powered a point on PowerPoint. Is that?
I think no, I do think Mahomes is the MVP leader right now. I'm rooting for Goff though. I bet Goff at plus 750 to do it. So,
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Al or is this Al or AI? I love Broncos tomorrow. Ravens have been much better offense than Chiefs, especially early down EPA. Mahomes tweaked his ankle going into short week versus the Broncos team that consistently rushes 5.
That's
Mahomes
AI.
yeah,
That's AI.
AI. I don't know if it was Al or AI.
No,
I
it's
mean,
AI. It's a generated question. He's not real. I'm just
okay.
joking.
Oh, I thought you knew. I was like, oh, so your friend? It's like, hey, I had my friend AI join. Yeah.
Keep going.
No,
Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, the tweaked ankle is one thing that you can argue against the Chiefs here, but I still think the Chiefs are just so much better than Denver. Like Denver has Denver hasn't been competitive against these upper crust teams. Have them powered.
Yeah, I'm just giving you crap, Cassandra. And look, you guys, your point is very taken. I'm just saying at some point, I mean, well, actually, I was just telling you yesterday. Do you think it's in the script I proposed this to Walter last night when we were talking on the phone. Maybe Mahomes gets an undefeated season where they win the Super Bowl in an undefeated season, not like the Patriots. Of course, were undefeated until the Super Bowl when they lost to the Giants. And then maybe Mahomes finishes with 5 rings or something, 6 rings to Brady's 7. And then they'll say, well, he had the undefeated season, though, to kind of, stir the pot further. I mean, I'm getting pretty intricate with the details here, but I don't know. I mean, I don't doubt that that could be a thing, too. I don't doubt anything anymore. The world never ceases to amaze me. But anyhow, we can move on.
Do you want them to go undefeated? I know you said you're sick of them.
No, I don't want that to happen again.
I wouldn't mind.
I was so happy when the Patriots lost that game. I was so glad.
I wouldn't. I like when my kids are older and if they're in the football, they'd be like, Dad, do you remember that undefeated team? How are they like? And I could tell them like, you're just seeing history unfold. I wasn't around for the 72 Dolphins. I can't tell you what they were like. So I would like to see it firsthand. I want to see history made. So I'm rooting for them.
Fair, so. But don't you think it could be just as interesting of a story to tell them how the Giants upset them and that it was such a shock and the way it went down? I mean,
right. But that's already happened. So if the Chiefs go all the way to Super Bowl and lose again, that's the same thing.
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Fair. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I would. You know what? I felt that way last year when I bet the Lions to win the Super Bowl before the season started last year, and everyone told me I was crazy except for you. Mm-hmm. But and then when they lost the NFC Championship game, that hurt me maybe more than any of my own team's losses, because here are the Detroit Lions who have never even made a Super Bowl and have been the laughing stock of the league for how long now. And then I picked them, a year after they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
To win the Super Bowl and they do it, that would be something I could it would have been nice to have the thousands of dollars that I would have won. But, more than that, it's like that would have been more special to me than just picking any random team to win the championship in any league because of it. Or if I picked the Magic, I'm a Magic fan. If I picked them to win the title one year and they do, that would be special to me. But I think just because that's a pick for so many people told me, I commented before the NFC Championship last year rather on a I can't remember his Twitter or what, and someone made a pick for the Lions 49ers game, and I commented I picked the Lions to win the Super Bowl before the season, so I'm rooting for them. Someone wrote back like with all these laughing emojis. They're like, "You did not, don't lie."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did.
That's why I love having my website, because I could just link to my page.
Yeah. So that would have been cool to say, just because they've been so bad and never been to a Super Bowl. So that one hurt me. That was the closest. I swore off sports depression for my own teams back in 2014 after the Green Bay Packers lost to the Seahawks, and oh my God, that NFC Championship, that hurt really bad. It's like that 500-pound weight on your chest feeling that you get when your girlfriend breaks up with you or something. Yeah. It's to that level. I had close to that after that Lions game. That one hurt. That was I didn't let it get to me too much. I was good the next day, but I try not to let those get to me. But that one was tough.
That was a kick in the nuts for sure.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. AI says Chiefs couldn't beat Bucks or Raiders by margin and were favored by a similar number. Well, I disagree. I think they could have beaten those teams by margin, but they've decided not to because they know it's a long season and they don't need to bring it every week. But Denver right now is closer to them than any other team in the division. They beat the Chargers already, so I'm not really counting them. So like if they lose to Denver here, like something's going to get a little tight, and like if they lose the second time, like Denver will be in line to win the division. So like this is a big game for them. I think you're going to see a much better effort. Like they didn't like that effort against Tampa was just non-existent, and like against the Raiders that was not 100%. Like if they bring 100%, they can wipe the floor at the Broncos if they wanted to. They could win 41-10 against the Broncos if they wanted to.
So you're suggesting? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm done. Go ahead.
You're suggesting that maybe the Chiefs are doing. Remember, like LeBron on the Cavs, he would, they would get like the 3 or 4 seed and just like not really turn it on until the play. You're suggesting it might be something along those lines, perhaps.
I think we've seen proof of it. That was last year. That's exactly what they did last year.
All right.
They lost to the Raiders on Christmas.
I think it's possible.
They lost to the Packers on Sunday Night Football. Like they lost to the Broncos. Like this is not.
They almost lost to the Jets. Remember, and Zach Wilson.
This is not a team that tries his hardest unless they have to. And like whenever Mahomes has a game against a divisional opponent for the first time, he brings it. Like historically, I actually have it written down. I could bring that up for a second, but Mahomes in these divisional games tends to try very hard. And I know we just mentioned the Raiders covering, but the Raiders don't really count because they're a jerk. So like whenever Mahomes goes against a divisional opponent, so here it is. Mahomes in his first matchup of the year against a divisional opponent, when he's not favored by 7 or more, he's 6-0 against the spread. So now I know it's 7.5 here, so technically it doesn't fit, but Mahomes will win these games. Now, will he come in 7.5? Again, like I'm not crazy about the Broncos here or Chiefs here. I'm not going to bet them outside of the teaser just because there could be a backdoor cover. But my point is that if the Chiefs suddenly, like if they see Denver as a legitimate threat and they want to beat Denver, they can bring it and they could destroy Denver just like Baltimore did. It would be the same result. I just don't know if we're going to see that effort.
All right,
that's my whole point, and like that's why
I think it's definitely possible. I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, and that's why I can't bet Denver because like if the Chiefs want to kill them, they will. Right. I don't know if they will want to. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Very good.
So anyway, a game I like a lot more, and I already bet this one, 49ers at Tampa. I bet it at -6. It's gone to 6.5. So it feels like feels pretty good to get the best number there. Not like amazing value, but pretty good. So in this game, this is the other end. This is the other half of the overtime from Monday game, and it feels like Tampa is in a worse spot than the Chiefs are because they put forth everything they had in that game against Kansas City, and they lost. I just don't know how they rebound from that. It's just going to be such a tough spot on a short week, and the Niners are a lot better than them. Like really, like it's not even close. The only issue the Niners have had in the first half of the season was the red zone offense. Last year, the red zone offense was first. This year, the red zone offense is 27th. Now, what's the difference between this year and last year? It's Christian McCaffrey, and guess who's coming back this week? It's Christian McCaffrey. So McCaffrey, I don't know if he's going to get a full complimentary snaps, but at the very least, like he's going to help improve the red zone offense. Teams are not going to be able to focus on the receivers or Kittle as much. They're going to have to worry about McCaffrey as well as the receiver out of the backfield. So I think San Francisco is going to be a lot better here. And if you're worried about early start time, like a 1:00 game on the East Coast, Kyle Shanahan is 9-5 against the spread in those games. Not that I like betting trends, but it's just pointing out that you don't need to be worried about that. For player props, I love George Kittle. Tampa leaves the middle of the field wide open all the time. Kittle is 56.5 receiving yards, so that's what I'm going with here. I love the Niners. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I really like the Niners a lot too. We've got them on our super contest card. Man, tough. This has been a tough year for the Bucs, who I think are a team that's better than their record indicates. I mean, they have wins against the Washington hockey team, the Lions, and the Eagles. They had 2 tough losses against against the Falcons, and then of course last week where that was a really gutsy effort by them, I got to say. So short week, leaving it all on the field and still coming up short on a Monday night game. I have a hard time seeing and of course they have injuries too. Hard time seeing another great, back-to-back performance from the backups again. I really like the 49ers. I think this is a team, especially with McCaffrey coming back, they're coming off a bye. They got McCaffrey coming back. How well he'll do in his first game back remains to be seen, of course, but it's got to be improving their confidence. I really like the 49ers here a lot, so got them on our card.
Glad to hear it. Even though I knew that you liked them already. It's for the show here. Chiefs going to beat Bucks. No, we read this one. Fair enough. You make a good counterpoints. I still took Broncos here for 2 units. Really like them. Glad to hear sharps are on them as well. Well, I would say this: if you like the Chiefs, if you want to bet the Chiefs, bet them first half, because there might be a backdoor cover. Or if the Chiefs are losing in the first half at halftime, bet the Chiefs at halftime. I think they will win. So do that. Are there a QB for high dollar DFS? I like Brock Purdy the best. Tampa is good against the run, and they're so leaky against the pass. They're a big pass funnel defense, and I feel like easy to stack here with the Niners. You can stack with Deebo and Kittle, or you can throw McCaffrey in there if you want. But I like Deebo and Kittle the most, and he's not like that expensive. Purdy's not that expensive, so he's my favorite quarterback this week. So if you're a single entry or a contest with like fewer than I would say 5,000 people, then I would play Purdy and just not worry about the chalk. Let's see. And any must-haves from the later 3 games from DFS? Well, definitely not anyone from the Chargers-Titans game unless you want to play Chargers defense. It's not like a must-have. Eagles, Cowboys. I feel like one of Saquon or A.J. Brown's going to go off. Don't know which one. Saquon's in the better matchup, so I would lean toward him. But I do like some of the slightly cheaper running backs too. So I wouldn't say he's a must-have. But you should probably play one of them, and then or at least consider it. And then in the Jets-Cardinals game, I love James Conner this week. Brees Hall too, to an extent, but I love James Conner more. The issue there is like it's either James Conner or DeAndre Swift. They're both 6,500. I love them both this week, and you can play both. Yeah, I mean, of the late guys, given the price, I think Conner is more likely to be my lineup, but. I'd say in order: Connor, Barkley, Brown, Brees Hall, and then I guess Chargers defense. Those are the 5 guys I like the most in the late games. All right. Anyway, so the last of the early games, we have the Patriots and the Bears. So I like the Bears a lot here. I think they're going to bounce back. They got embarrassed at Arizona, and that's such a weird game because, like, first of all, they were coming off the loss in the Hail Mary game, so like they might have been deflated from that. And second, it was hailing during the game, and they were trying to close the roof, but it was closing so slowly. And like Charles, what's his name? I blank on this guy's name. I make fun of him all the time. Charles Davis. He announced like during the game, he said that like the Bears were at a big disadvantage because the Cardinals had the cleats because they were at home. Whereas the Bears didn't bring their cleats for like a slippery surface. And so like that's basically why the Bears got demolished, those 2 things. So I think they're going to bounce back. They're a good team. They're not great by any means, but they're good because they have a good defense. Montez Sweat's going to be back. He was out last week as well. And they have good skill position players, and they can run the ball well. Now Caleb Williams is a question mark, but this is such an easy matchup. And we've seen him do well in easy matchups this year. Like he had a great game against the Jaguars. This is an even worse defense. And think about it this way. I know this doesn't always apply, but the Bears crushed the Jaguars and the Jaguars crushed the Patriots. So logic says the Bears should crush the Patriots, right? I know that doesn't always work out, but I just found that like pretty amusing. These teams have played each other recently. The player prop I like here is DeAndre Swift. I just mentioned him for DFS. I love him to hit the over in the 70.5 rushing yards. So what are your thoughts on this game?
I like the Bears, and I like him a good bit. Let's not overthink this one. Yeah, they laid an egg last week, but I agree. I think, and that was evidence. What's his nuts was out there mocking, like pointing at the fans and stuff. He wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah.
They're clearly
What's
a
this
team
nuts?
that needs to mature a little bit. It's probably going to take a little bit more, a little bit longer for a team like that to come back from that than maybe some others. I'm just speculating here, of course. But if they win that game, that's completely different. Assuming they lose the Cardinals the following week, now they're 5-3 instead of 4-4, and they've, they beat they beat a great team in the Commanders. I mean, really, 99 times out of 100, they're going to win that game. How often will that happen? No. The Patriots, meanwhile, they haven't done a single thing to impress me all season, save for the first win against Cincinnati. But I think they just kind of caught them off guard. The Bengals weren't ready. They beat the Jets. They kept it close against Tennessee, but Tennessee might be worse than they are. So I just really think that this could be an absolute romp. I think I have absolutely no confidence in the Patriots. I think that this is a great spot for the Bears to bounce back. We've got them on our card. I like them to win by double digits.
Yeah, glad to hear it. I'd be surprised if they don't bounce back. I mentioned a friend of mine in a show that we did probably like a month and a half ago, and this guy, like he will admit this. Like he says, like he loves playing DFS and fantasy. He's really good at them, but he hates. Or not he hates, but he's just like awful at handicapping games for as far as picking is concerned. And he even admits it. And he's like, yeah, if I like a game, it's probably going to lose. And he said this week, he's like, I don't see how the Bears beat the Patriots. I think they just lost 2 in a row. They were horrible last week. Like I think the Patriots are going to win. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. I'm glad to hear
it. That's awesome. I mean, I think we all probably know somebody like that. Yeah, I have a couple of my buddies that we discussed betting with. We were all playing some video games together, so we were all on a Discord chat, and I was telling them that how week 1 I loved the Eagles over the Packers, and of course that that came through. I've been eyeing it up all summer, as you know very well. And this one guy on there, Jake, he came on. He's like, Quacky, I'll bet you $50 straight up that the Packers win that game. And I was like, nice. you're on, I like just the money line. I was getting even money for the money line. So of course I liked him on the spread. And then my buddy Lou, as soon as we made that bet, Lou was like, Tommy, now that Jake likes the Packers, I really like the Eagles even more. So, and then of course, yeah. And I got paid. So it was all good.
I was about to ask if you got paid.
Of course. Yeah.
I bet with some friends who have not paid me, to this day. So.
Oh, really? If you need me to bring the muscle, let me know.
Yeah, I'll have to send you out to collect.
Well, wait till I get back from Germany at least.
That's good. Yeah, you're not doing much good over there.
I know, man. I wear many. I wear many hats. It's hard to keep track of it all.
Right.
Oh, geez.
Chris says, I hate the Bears this year, and I even feel good about them this week. Bears are also undefeated at home, winless on the road. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to that, but yeah, that is true. They played a lot better at home. All right. So we get to the late games now. There are 3 4:00 games. The first one, Titans at the Chargers, line 7.5. It's funny that this dropped to 7.5. I tweeted this out. It dropped to 7 on Friday morning, and then it was announced that Will Levis is going to play, and it went back up to 7.5. Will Levis is just so terrible. So I'm betting his over interceptions. The big I got was minus 165. The best one I see now is minus 170, but it's still pretty good. The Chargers have destroyed every team in the bottom, the bottom end. We talked about how the Broncos haven't beaten any of the upper crust teams. Like the Chargers have killed every team near the bottom. So here's some scores for you. Chargers 22, Raiders 10. Chargers 26, Panthers 3. Chargers 23, Broncos 0 until the fourth quarter. Chargers 26, Saints 8. Chargers 27, Browns 10. This is Jim Harbaugh, not Brandon Staley. If this were Brandon Staley, I'd want nothing to do with this game. But Jim Harbaugh here against a horrible Tennessee team that is going to be exhausted coming off an overtime win just seems very easy here. I'd be shocked if the Chargers don't win this one easily. So, yeah, I'm going to bet the Chargers and Will Levis over interceptions. So who do you like here?
Oh, give me the Superchargers all day here. You pretty much covered everything I was going to say there. But kind of just piggybacking on the last 4 games that they played, Denver, Arizona, New Orleans, and Cleveland, their defense has given up an average of right around 12 points. Keep in mind, and one of those touchdowns from Cleveland was at the very end in garbage time. They only gave they had a safety. New Orleans had a safety, so they only gave up 6 points against the Saints there. And like you had mentioned earlier, all 16 of those points were not so much in garbage time, but against Denver, but in the fourth quarter and at a point where the game was, for all intents and purposes, out of reach. This defense has really stepped up. They've shown that they have been able to shut down poor offenses before. I don't know if there's a poorer offense in the league than Tennessee, arguably. There's no reason for me to believe this will be any different. So I like the Superchargers a good bit.
Chargers are number 3 in defensive EPA. They've just been great. Chiefs are number 1. Rams are number 2. How about that? The Rams defense has been so good lately. You mentioned Titans offense. Yeah, Titans offense is so dreadful. The Raiders are number 32. For what it's worth, the Raiders are definitely worse. At least like the Titans have Tony Pollard. I guess the Raiders have Brock Bowers, but still, these teams are so bad. Chargers and their great defense versus Will Levis and the Titans off an overtime win. Chargers win 52-10.
I hope so.
Music to my ears. I hope so. Shakir should have a big week. Let's look at how the Colts have done against outside receivers. I know they struggled early against them. So week 9, receiver 1 exceeded expectations. In week 5, week 4. Yeah, they were leaky to outside receivers early in the year, but lately they've been better. But still, I still think Shakir should do well. I don't know if he's gonna have like a big week, but he should still he should have a solid performance. I just don't know how much upside he has. Usually catches like 7 passes for 70 yards. That's like what he does every time. The Colts, by the way, the weakest 2 running backs and tight ends. So maybe Dalton Kincaid does something, but I like other tight ends so much more. I love Kittle more. I love Taysom Hill more. I love Cade Otton more. I think Cole Kmet bounces back. He caught no passes last week, and they were talking about getting him more involved this week. And it's a great matchup for him against the Patriots. So that's the problem with Kincaid. It's just like there's just so many better tight ends. Anyway, let's get to the next game, which is Eagles Cowboys. This line is Eagles -7 or 7.5. I'm going to try to look for a 7 tonight to lock it in because I think this line might go to 7.5 permanently. I could be wrong about that. I just want to make sure we get the -7 at some point. If I don't see it tonight, I'm just going to look for it tomorrow. The Eagles, I feel like, are the opposite of the Redskins here. Like the Redskins are sitting players in anticipation of the Thursday game. The Eagles are bringing everyone back. Like A.J. Brown, like there's question about whether he'd play. He's going to play. Devontae Smith missed practice Wednesday. He's going to play. Jalen Hurts, like he's on the report with an ankle. He's going to play. They're bringing Darius Slay back. They're bringing Dallas Goedert back. Everyone is returned for the Eagles except for Jordan Mailata. Whereas like Dallas is starting Cooper Rush. And I had Tom, you mentioned this all the time. Like you want to bet on the Eagles when everyone doubts them, and you want to fade them when everyone is just like hyping them up like crazy. Now they're 6-2 here, but I had dinner with some guys tonight for a birthday, and they're all like Eagles fans, but they're not like bettors or anything. And I come in and like they're like, "Oh, Walt, like what do you think about the Eagles?" First question I get all the time, by the way. I'm like, "Oh, they're great. I think NFC Championship at the very least." And they're like, "Really? Like they almost lost the Jaguars last week. Doesn't seem like they're playing well." And like, well, didn't they just blow out the Bengals and Giants too? Like it just feels like I don't know. There's some skepticism here with how they finished the game against Jacksonville. I thought they were looking ahead to this and Washington. And I think they remember how much they got blown out in Dallas last year. Dallas shellacked them the last time they saw them. I think this is a big revenge game for the Eagles. And then you have Cooper Rush against Eagles defense, which has been great recently. Eagles are 4th in defense. I think they take it to Cooper Rush here and just make him look miserable. And that's the one game Cooper Rush lost when he started in 2022. He was 5-1. That one loss is to the Eagles. And I think it's going to happen again. So who do you like here?
All right, I'm going to try to make an argument here for Dallas because I do like him. I'm not going to take him, but I don't know. I think this is a strange spot. I'm surprised to hear that with the people. I wonder if maybe you spoke to the minority demographic in that sample size of Eagles fans, because I feel like people would be pretty high on them. So especially after that, how about that Barkley backwards hurdle? Yeah. That was incredible stuff like that. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about the sentiment on the Eagles, but keep in mind the Eagles haven't won in Dallas since 2017. I know, like, yes, this is a huge division rivalry, arguably the best in the NFL, depending on who you talk to. But even with Cooper Rush, I don't know. I think this could this be like Dallas' Super Bowl? Maybe. I think despite I think you made some good points about the Eagles might have revenge on their minds here, but also I'm not suggesting that they might be looking ahead, but the Cowboys aren't really a threat to them as much as like next week is going to be like for first place in the division in all likelihood, unless against the Washington hockey team. So I don't know. I just have this weird feeling. I think like the line too. I'm kind of surprised even with Cooper Rush. I guess I thought this line would maybe be more like 8.5 or 9. But I don't know. What do I know? I think that this could end up being a closer game than maybe we think. I mean, the Eagles have they failed to cover against teams like Cleveland and they barely won against New Orleans and they beat 3. Bengals could go either way, but a couple teams that a few teams that aren't very good at the very least, certainly in the Giants and the Jaguars. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about this game. I think something crazy could happen. I think this could be a 3 or 4 point game. Again, I'm not going to take it, but I'll go with Dallas on this one.
I don't see how this is Dallas' Super Bowl. Like they just lost Dak Prescott for the year. Like they know their season's over. I don't know. I don't really see it. Maybe later in the year in their second game against the Eagles, the one that takes place.
All right. Well, so maybe I'm trying to force a point, Walter.
Yeah, because on the sideline last week, Dak Prescott was talking to Trey Lance, and he said, "We effing suck."
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the sentiment's so down on this team. They know Mike McCarthy's a lame duck coach, and they just lost the season here with Dak Prescott. Like it's over. This is over for them. So it's kind of good.
Well, let's bring that into the equation. Everyone, or most people saw that clip of. I'm sure it's made its fair share of rounds on social media of Dak Prescott saying we effing suck. I mean, especially if you're an Eagles fan, seeing that, you got to be pumped up. You know what I mean? So I think maybe you saw the minority of people that aren't high on the Eagles. I feel like if you're an Eagles fan, you got to feel good. I mean, the Cowboys have been a mess pretty much the entire year. Now they don't. Now their quarterback who's hurt is saying they effing suck. I mean. I don't know. I just think that something weird could happen here. But certainly, if the Eagles do blow them out, I think this will be the last game McCarthy coaches in Dallas. So,
I don't think there's a great sentiment for the Eagles right now. The problem is everyone hates Sirianni. Everyone I talked to, they said this guy sucks and we can't win with him. And he was even booed last week when he kept trying to go for 2. Like the crowd booed him. Even my dad was like, when are they going to fire Sirianni? I'm like, Dad, they're 6-2. They're not going to fire him. He's like, I want Belichick, so it's like people want this guy fired. They're 6-2, and like I'm not saying that's a bad thing to think. Like I don't think he's a good coach. So that'd be like the first team to ever fire the coach at 6-2. Maybe that's wrong, but I can't remember like a winning team in first place or almost in first place firing their coach. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened.
I don't think that's ever happened mid-season. It has. I mean, certainly it's happened at the end of a season after if they come up short in the playoffs. Turner, that happened to North Turner. It's one that comes to mind with the Chargers.
Oh, speaking of Chargers, Marty Schottenheimer got fired for going 14-2.
Oh, it was Schottenheimer. It was Schottenheimer, I think.
Okay, yeah.
They lost to the Patriots. That Chargers team was so good with LT, Daniel Tomlinson.
Yeah, that's Rivers LT team.
Gates.
Was Vincent Jackson the receiver? I think maybe.
Yeah, he wasn't on Tampa Bay until like 2014.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe there's someone else. I don't know. That was what year was that? Was that 06 or 07? I can't remember.
It wasn't 07 because 07 was the year that
right. Yeah.
He had Rivers had one leg, and they lost to the Patriots in 21-12 in the AFC Championship game. Remember Billy Vaughn came in the second game and beat the Colts.
The Colts, yeah. It was 06. It was 06.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. That sounds. I was going to say I feel like it was 05 or 06. That was hilarious. Philip Rivers got injured. Well, not hilarious that he got injured, But then Billy Volek came in, beat the Colts in Indianapolis, and that was like prime Peyton Manning. And what was the part that I meant to say was hilarious was Phillip Rivers yelling at the Colts fans on the sideline. I thought that was so funny. He was such an ass. I loved it.
I know.
Volek,
it was.
man.
I was right about Vincent Jackson. He was on that team. Keenan McCardell was there as well. Eric Parker was their leading wide receiver outside. Gates was their leading receiver, but leading wide receiver was Eric Parker.
Wow. That was a solid team. That was a solid. Obviously, they're 14-2, and that was. I mean, that was LT prime. Holy cow! If you didn't get to watch like prime, I don't know. There's a varying age of our viewers, I'm sure, but if you didn't get to see LaDainian Tomlinson play, you should look it up, man. That guy was amazing.
No, yeah. Gruden was fired at 3-2. I mean. But performance issues. Was any coach ever fired at like 6-2 or like a 750 record? Like that'd be pretty wild.
That would be weird.
Yeah. What percentage chance do you think Cowboys money line has of hitting? Probably
low. I mean,
10% maybe. I don't know. The Eagles are 77% to win according to the -340 money line. So but I don't think that's correct. I think the line should be higher. So maybe 10-12%. I don't know.
I'd be shocked if. I mean, I just made an argument for them to keep it close, but I think that's enough of a tall order. I would certainly guess. I mean, I haven't seen where the money's going in this one, but I would certainly guess I'm in the minority of people who think that Dallas will cover. Maybe I'm wrong, but for them to win, like I think for them to cover is a tall enough order. I mean, if you're really feeling bold, maybe the money line, but I don't think I would.
Yeah, public's on the Eagles, but the Sharps haven't touched this. So, if getting exposure to Jets for DFS, Brees, Adams, or Wilson, that's the hard part here. Like Adams or Wilson, I feel like I have them ranked equally. I think I would go with Wilson, but maybe for contrarian's sake, Adams. So I guess it depends on the type of contest you're playing. If it's single entry or like any contest of 5,000 or fewer people, I think I'd go Wilson. But in the Millie contest with 160,000 people in it, I think I'd go Adams just to be contrarian. But I'd go Brees over them. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know. We're going to get into the Jets here in a second.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm hockey DFS is my thing, not NFL. I'm not very good. I get my advice from Walt just like you guys on NFL. So except for Bo Nix, always start Bo Nix and Lil Jordan Humphrey. That's the only. I'm just kidding. Don't listen to my advice on NFL DFS.
John, with the great point, the Saints destroyed them in Dallas. FFS for FC. Yes, that's a great point. The Saints crushed Dallas in Dallas. By the way, how did Dallas win in Pittsburgh? That is like the most bizarre result of the year. I know we saw the Bengals lose to the Patriots week 1, but they're looking ahead to the Chiefs. We saw the Ravens lose to the Raiders in week 2. They were coming off a tough game against the Chiefs, and like they're a big favorite. Like they just weren't focused. Like the Steelers were slight favorites over the Cowboys. And they were not looking ahead to anything. I think the next game they had was against the Raiders, so they're not looking ahead to that one. They weren't looking behind because they also lost the week before to the Colts. So like how in the world did they lose to the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football at home? I don't know. It's so weird.
Probably because they had needed Russell Wilson in there to save the day.
Yeah,
that was Fields' last game, I think. Well, how about this? The Atlanta Falcons beat the Eagles, and the Cowboys only lost to the Falcons by 6, so therefore they're going to cover. Right? That's how that works. It's exactly how it works.
Well, that was not a 6-point result.
I'm looking at it right here: 27-21 Atlanta Falcons over Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's 27-13 for like the Falcons led by a lot for a while. So that was backdoor nonsense. So and plus Atlanta beat the Eagles, but the Eagles, like if Saquon doesn't drop that pass, it's funny if that doesn't happen. The Eagles are 7-1 right now. They only lost to Tampa when everyone was out. Conklin cheapest. I'd go with tight end. Tight end. I think the cheapest I would go is Taysom Hill. I feel like there's just so many good tight end plays this week that like I don't want to go super cheap just because like these guys all look great. Like Kittle looks great. I mentioned Taysom Hill. Kate Otten is their number 1 receiver. He looks awesome. I think Kyle Pitts could have a big game. Saints are awful against tight ends. Look at what Jatavian Sanders did against the Saints last week. Like he went off. Kyle Pitts could do the same thing. Cole Kmet, like I said, I think he rebounds this week. Like these are all awesome plays. Like I don't want to punt tight end with like these guys. I feel like could all hit 20 DK points. I just don't want to miss out on that. Pittsburgh isn't as good as the record. No, I agree. But like the Cowboys just like they've been losing to everyone, and like how do they beat Pittsburgh? I just don't get it. Is it a double tight end week in DFS? I think it might be. Yeah, like I talked about playing Taysom Hill and Kittle in the same lineup, but you can mix and match like all the guys that just mentioned. I think that they're all great plays. PPR league, Braylon Allen or Chris Rodriguez. I'm desperate though. Negligence on my part. Through negligence. Well, Brian Thomas is out, so I guess Chris Rodriguez. Like it seems like he's overtaken McNichols Jeremy McNichols as the RB1 when the short yardage running back when Brian Thomas is out. So I guess him, but I'm not like crazy about it. Braylon Allen had that one game where he had 12 carries. But keep in mind that was ahead of a Thursday night game, so it felt like they were just lightening Breece Hall's workload. So if you're just looking at like past like stats, and you see, oh wow, Braylon Allen had 12 carries recently. Like just keep in mind it was because they're sort of resting Breece Hall in that Patriots game. So yeah, I would go Rodriguez, but it's not like a great choice, unfortunately, and I think you know that. All right, so I should say I forgot my player prop for the Eagles game is Saquon Barkley. It's 89.5, which seems high, but he's gone over 89.5 rushing yards in all but 2 games this year. The one time was against Tampa. Again, the Eagles are missing everyone, and the other time was against the Browns, who have a great defense. Like so, but he's gone over 89.5 rushing yards in every other game this year. And Dallas is awful against the run, so I'll go there. So Jets and Cardinals. Cardinals were favored. Now the Jets are favored. So you have some sharp money coming in on the Jets. I would go Cardinals though. I'm not really seeing a reason to take the Jets. Like maybe they've improved, but I just think they're coached so poorly. Whereas I feel like Arizona is coached very well, and Arizona has had such a tough schedule this year. Like if they had a normal schedule, they would be like 6-3 or 7-2 maybe. But they played so many tough opponents. Not so much the past couple of weeks, but before that. So I'm like leaning toward Arizona here, but I don't have like a big play here. I will say I'm taking James Conner over rushing yards. He's hit the over 4 out of the past 6 games, and we know the Jets suck against the run. There no Sackles out. Lecky Fotu, he's out once again. So I'm leaning toward Arizona, but I really like the Conner rushing over. So who do you like here?
I didn't have an opinion on this game until earlier today. I like the Jets and maybe a decent bit, maybe for 2 units or so. These are 2 teams that have been kind of hard to figure out, at least in my opinion. I mean, the Jets are coming off a long week too, and if you watch that game, holy cow, was it the tale of 2 halves? I mean, literally. I mean, I remember thinking, because I took the Jets in that Thursday night game, and thinking it's like, well, they're going to have to come out and look completely different in the second half, and that's exactly what they did. So, yeah, I agree. They are poorly coached, but Rodgers and Adams also had many years under McCarthy, so I don't know. I mean, it's if they start clicking, I think they could play a lot better, a lot more like they did in the second half of that Thursday night game against Houston. Also, something interesting, my cousin, I was talking to my cousin today, and he said he likes the Jets tomorrow, and he said just because, he goes, I have a weird feeling they might sneak into the playoffs. And I was looking at their schedule, and outside of Buffalo, I mean, and who knows what could happen, Let's say they do play like they did in the second half, the rest of the season. Like, I mean, it's definitely possible Adams and Rodgers could click and things, I mean, look at the rest of their schedule. Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jaguars, Rams, Bills, and Dolphins. I mean, when he said that, I was like, nah, like they're too far out. But, I mean, stranger things have definitely happened. I mean.
Well, yeah.
If they find a way to reel off like 6 straight here or something.
I announced a few weeks ago that we were betting the Jets over 7.5 wins. So I'm right there with you. I think we got a good number, even though they lost to the Patriots after I bet them. It's like okay, like I still think they have a chance to get it. So But
Yeah.
I just think they're so poorly coached that's my issue here. Like Arizona has a better coaching staff for sure.
Right. I also think maybe Arizona, maybe after seeing the Cardinals crush the Bears last week, maybe that's given them a little. You know what I mean? I'm not going to put too much stock into that win. I think the Bears were completely emotionally flat after losing the Hail Mary of that game. So I don't think I'm not going to put a whole lot in that. A lot of stock into that huge win the Cardinals had last week. So yeah, I like the Jets here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that, but they've been very impressive otherwise. John says I like the Chargers, Bengals, and Steelers as wild card teams. Bengals are plus money to make the playoffs, so if you like them to get in, I think now's the time. Look, now is the time to bet the Bengals. If you like them to do anything, now is the time because they don't play the Ravens again. Like it's crazy that they lost 2 games to the Ravens by a combined 4 points. Like they're so close to beating the Ravens twice, and really like the first time they definitely should have because they had the ball over midfield in overtime. Like that should have been a win. The Ravens should not be what their record is. I think the Ravens are overrated. So anyway,
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Bengals schedule here. What are they to make the? You said they're plus money to make the playoffs.
they're plus 112 on FanDuel. I'm gonna look elsewhere, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, geez. I mean, if they win, they still play the Steelers twice. If they win one game against the Steelers, I think they maybe have a shot because the rest of their schedule isn't too bad. Other than the 2 against Pittsburgh, Chargers, Dallas, Titans, Browns. Yeah, they have Titans, Browns, and Broncos 3 games in a row. I mean, that could be. Oh, and then Dallas. So, yeah, Dallas, Tennessee, Cleveland, Denver, 4 games in a row down the stretch. Yeah, I mean, that might not be a bad bet. I don't know.
I found a better number on DraftKings, plus 135. So that seems pretty good. I actually might bet that tonight. I might do a bunch of stuff tonight. We'll see. Yeah. I'll have the announcements on Twitter. All right. All right. So Lions to Texans. I mentioned that the Texans are getting the second most sharp money here, which it makes sense because it sounds like Nico Collins is going to be back. They activated him off IR finally. I was a little worried that everything I read last week said, "Oh, Collins is ready to go." I'm like, okay, but he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. I'm like, what's going on here? But no, he got activated either today or yesterday. And so he's going to be able to play here, which is a huge boon for the Texans because they had nothing at receiver outside of Tank Dell. And now they have Collins and Dell. So they're a legit team again. The Lions are going to be missing Taylor Decker. It's their only offensive line injury, but still, the Decker is such a good player. Although the Texans have been missing Will Anderson too. So I guess that's a wash. But I do like the Texans here at plus 3.5. Feels like the Lions, they played Minnesota a few weeks ago, and I think Minnesota and Houston are pretty comparable. And they only won that game by 2 points. And it took a last-second field goal, too. So I think getting the plus 3.5 is nice. If this were 2.5, I wouldn't have any interest. Getting the 3, I think, is huge for a game like this. That should be close. I think people look at the Houston losing to the Jets, and people are down on them. The advanced spread on this game was Lions minus 2.5, which is pretty wild that it would move 1 point. I just don't get why that would be the case through 3. Moving 1 point is not a huge deal, but moving through 3 is a huge deal. So I like Houston here. For player props, I took the David Montgomery over rushing yards. Houston's just allowed a lot of rushing yards, and Montgomery's healthy. He got hurt in that Minnesota game, and last week he got 17 carries, so he should be back to his full strength here. So who do you like in this game?
I'm a big fan of the Lions in general. They obviously, I mean, I think most would agree. I think they're the best team in the NFC. But I really, I like this interconference on the road spot, or rather, they're interconference on the road, and I like this spot for Houston, especially with that line plus 3.5. It seems, to me at least, it seems like they're kind of inviting bettors to try to take Detroit here, who have looked absolutely unstoppable at times this year, especially in out of the last 3 games. They beat the 2. Well, every team in that division is very good. They beat the 2 toughest teams in Minnesota and Green Bay, which was a huge help in them, gaining some separation, at least at this juncture in the season in that division. I just like this spot for the Texans. They're coming off a long week, and I know they looked, I think people are going to think, they lost to the Jets, but I mean, I really like this spot at home, prime time. Detroit's interconference on the road, which I usually like to steer away from just because that's how I am. But I think this could be a close game. I think the hook could come into play. I think the Texans could win this one outright, or otherwise I think it could be a field goal game. I'll take them maybe for a unit or so.
You always say interconference on the road.
I know, and you always debunk me with the stats. I don't want to hear it. I'm talking about my eye test because I don't pay attention to every single one. Just the ones I have like telekinesis or something. Only the ones that come to my attention am I right about. And this could be one of them.
Do you want do an all time, or do you want since like this is just since the lockout in 2010?
No, do since they introduced the yellow first down line, 98. 2010's fine. I'm just kidding around.
All right, 2010. So teams, non-conference road teams since 2010 are 498 and 436 against.
No, you're wrong. That's wrong. It's fake news.
53.3%.
Fake news. No. Every time I see one, it goes the other way.
They're right.
I mean, who are you going to believe? Statistics or me? Take it for what it's worth. I don't know. I do feel that way just from the eye test. When they pop up, I'm just like, oh, it's not just that. It has to be other things for for me as it should be. Whenever you're picking a team or making a bet, it shouldn't really just be one thing. Even though I'm sure we're all guilty of it.
They sound like they're traversing the Oregon Trail, like traveling like in non-conference, like they didn't die of dysentery. They got to the city.
Yeah, no, but I memean, I don't know. It might be foreign territory for some of them. It's like interconference, like another planet, another dimension.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it makes sense for them to do better now that I think about it, because these players usually don't play at these places. Like the Detroit players seldom play at Houston, so like they might want to show out and like, hey, Houston, look at us. I think that kind of makes sense.
Too. It's a fair point too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the spot, especially with Detroit rolling along the way it is. Houston, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I found a better reason for why it works, and I guarantee this is it. This is it, because if it like sports players, primarily football and basketball players, they're known to like have a girl in each city, right? Like when Detroit, when they go to Chicago, these players they hook up with girls in Chicago. The same thing, Green Bay, etc. They don't go to Houston often, so like they may not have these girls in Houston, so like they're not gonna have anything to do outside of focus on the game.
Well, that's the thing. They're gonna have to go out and try to find them. That's gonna cause extra legwork. They're gonna be tired.
Yeah, but they have curfew before the game.
No, they'll break the curfew, man.
They're gonna go out after the game.
Curfew doesn't apply if they don't have girls in the city already. So,
or actually, they might just order from a service or something at that point.
Quacky Tommy's wedding escorts. They should. That's a business I'm trying to start. You need a wedding. You're a girl that needs a wedding date. I'm fun. I'll get out on the dance floor and everything.
Is that why you're in Munich right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna catch the wedding is in lieu of a reception. We're going to the game, so I got to be up in just a few hours actually. So
there it is. Oh man, the game is exactly 9 hours from now.
Oh wow, yeah. So we got to get the wedding. Let's move on.
Hurry.
We warned you about the nonsense. What do we got here? Will Anderson.
Will Anderson's out. He is out. I like Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I like that too. I think that's a good one. It might make my same game parlay. We'll see. What's the latest on if Nico is playing? He got activated, and I think Ian Rappaport said that he will play. So I'd be shocked if he doesn't play at this point. But we don't know if he's at 100%. Keep that in mind. John says, thinks Stroud will throw a Jordan Love-ish pick 6 by his goal line. It could happen. He's not playing with an injured groin. So, that's another one. We're talking about how Trevor Lawrence played injured. Jordan Love twice this year so far. He's cost the Packers coming back early for the Vikings game and also the Lions game, like where he clearly wasn't 100% and they lost both games. So,
knew that would happen too.
Yeah, they need to. These players, like, it's commendable that they try to come back early. It's like, yeah, you want to, you just want to like celebrate their, just like their fortitude and stuff like that, and just come like playing like playing through injury. It's like, it sounds great, but then you see these guys cost their teams games, and it's just stupid to do. So,
And I think too, like with the Green Bay, I mean, and I've said this before. I mean, I said this, well, at least I said in the comments since I wasn't on the show last week. That Green Bay, like it's not like this isn't like the end of the season and their second matchup against Detroit, like for the division, where I could see that. I mean, they've got a long road ahead, and they're a really good team already. Like, why risk? Why risk bringing him back early? I think he was so stupid. They should not do that.
yep,
Should not do that. And hopefully, and also I mean, they're heading into a bye. Give them another week off. I get it's against the Lions and it's a meaningful division game. I get that, but it's just I just feel like they really weren't thinking long term with that, and they should have. I hope it doesn't cost them, but I'm hoping that with the bye, Love can get closer to 100%. Anyhow, I digress.
Like the Wacky's Tommy's wedding.
That's right, man. It'll be huge. It'll be huge. I'm telling you. Yeah, maybe people. There's probably like maybe there's girls out there that their parents. Oh, when are you gonna date some? I don't know. I mean, I'm probably not gonna have many clients. They'll be like, I'll just be the stand-in wedding date. That's all it is.
Well, I think there is some legitimacy to that. Like I remember being single myself. That's always the question. I'm sure like so many people have gotten that as well. Hey, well, are you dating anyone? Blah blah blah, and like I think like just showing up with someone. Actually, there was a movie with I can't remember her name, but there was my wife and I watched the movie. It was Julia Roberts' niece, whatever her name is. I can't remember her name offhand, but something Emma Roberts, I think that's her name.
Okay.
She and this guy made a pact that they would each date each other only on holidays, so they wouldn't have to have questions from from the parents or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was okay. For stupid rom-com, it was not bad.
Yeah.
And shocker, I'm gonna spoil this for you guys. Complete shocker. You're never gonna guess how it ends. You want to guess?
Is there a murder involved, or do they get married?
Murder. Actually, they travel through time, and like that was no.
Yeah, they travel interconference on the road, and then they never see each other again.
Right. They died of dysentery.
Yeah, they lost each other on a freaking Arby's.
Yes.
And moved to Munich. Good God.
No, they fall in love. Like
yeah.
So surprise.
Yeah.
Actually,
when did this movie come out? I need to determine if it was that idea was before or after Quacky Tommy's wedding escort, so I can sue him maybe. I don't care when it came out. It doesn't matter.
I think that it was the movie is called Holiday. It's on Netflix. It came out in 2020.
Oh, 2020. I only came up with Quacky Tommy's wedding escort 17 minutes ago, so that was before. Okay, never mind.
Okay. They did come out early. I was kind of wondering if it came out after, but now we know.
Yeah, I thought we were going to maybe have to move to litigation, but at least we can avoid that.
Right. Yeah, you're safe, Emma Roberts. If
yeah.
By the way, I did watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie last night. I'm actually not done. I have like 25 minutes left.
Would you watch Trap, the new one?
Yeah. Did you watch it?
I saw it in theaters. Yeah.
I was in theaters.
Well, I saw it when it was in theaters.
I didn't even know it was in theaters.
I saw it maybe a month or two ago. Probably a couple months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know it made it to theaters. I thought it was straight to Netflix or whatever. Or
straight to video.
Yeah.
Straight to VHS. I have a copy on VHS. Why don't we go back to DVDs, man? Sometimes I realize like I canceled most of my streaming subscriptions because it's like I had like 20 of them, not literally, but I had like 20 of them, and there's nothing to watch on any of them. There's nothing to watch. I was like, why do I have all these? I'll just stick to like Netflix and HBO Max, and I'll find something there. I don't need like 7 other services.
Yeah.
Why don't, because like there have been times where I've had, or like I've purchased a subscription just to watch one show or just to see like one movie. And it's just like, why don't we just go back to DVDs? I don't need this whole, I get the convenience of it. You don't have to get up and put the disc in. I'm not that dumb, but you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's kind of funny. There's nothing. I find does anyone else do this where you're just like scrolling and then all of a sudden you find you've been scrolling for 20 minutes?
Yeah, right.
And it's like, or maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe I just outed myself as a freaking nut. Let's move on.
No, I scroll out. So I would have agreed with you 3 years ago. I was super pro DVD. I was like, yeah, I love like having it, so you can play it anytime. It's great. But when you have kids, it's like I wish I didn't have any of these DVDs because my son has been throwing some of my discs into the toilet. So you learn not to like DVDs too much anymore. So
Throwing them into the toilet. Wow, he's a tough movie critic, huh?
That's right. I'm
Like,
proud
this
of him.
sucks. Throw it in the toilet.
I'm proud of him though. He peed in a big toilet for the first time today ever.
Wow.
Standing up. Usually he has a little potty. He sits down. He's potty trained already. Like he has like his own little potty in the bathroom. He saw me pissing in the toilet, and he's like, "Daddy, I want to do it." And so he just flipped it out and just started peeing with me. I'm like, oh, this is great.
I could never imagine being a parent. I mean, I guess I could do it. I don't know at this juncture of my life if I could handle that right now. I mean, I could if I put myself in that situation, but that's a lot of work. I don't know how you ever sleep. I mean, you don't sleep much as it is. Wait,
No,
what'd you say?
You could what situation? Peeing with your son? Like,
No, like having a baby with someone.
Well,
Yeah, like if I found, I mean, I'm talking hypothetically. If I found out I got a girl pregnant, I mean, that's not a concern of mine at this point. But like, I know I would be good at being a dad, but I just couldn't imagine doing it right now. Like, I'm just not in like that headspace. So, you didn't sleep much before. It just seems like
I slept like 5.5, 6 hours a night before, and now I sleep like 4.5.
Well, you would sleep like 5 a.m. to or 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Is that right? People are gonna be like, why does Quacky know Walter's sleep schedule?
No, I used to sleep like 4:30 to 11 or so. 4:30. No, sorry, 4:30 to like 10:30. That's what I used to do. And now I sleep like 6:30 to 6:30 to about 11. That's like usually my sleep schedule. Let's have to wake up early. I can't. I would love to go to sleep at like 4:30 or 5 a.m. But again, I've said this before. My wife hits the alarm or hit the snooze on the alarm like 10 times. If I went to bed at 4, I would just wake up like a million times doing that. It just would be miserable. So I just decide to get everything done at night. And like sometimes I pass out on my computer for like it's like I'll fall asleep for like 10 minutes on my computer. And I'll wake up and like it's the same key over and over again. It's usually like the J or the D, no, the F. Dude, that's where the two things are. It's usually the J, and it's like a million J's in a row. It's like, oh man, I fell asleep here. Like,
wait, hold on a second now. When you do your work, do you sit because you're in your basement, right? Do you usually do your work in your basement? Because many times that I've come over to your house, you're in the living room with the laptop. That's not your usual stuff.
Well, that's because I have company. Like well, you haven't been here since my daughter was born, because my office used to be upstairs. Like I have the two guest bedrooms.
Right.
It would be my son's room, and then it was my office. But ever since my daughter was born, she now has my old office, and my new office is down here. I mean, the last time you've been in my basement, I had a pool table. I had like a coffee table. I had like a few couches by the wall. I'm sure you remember this. I had like a few like rocking chairs to like play video games on. Now I'm sitting in my office. I have this desk here. There's no pool table. We sold it. There's the leather couch from my office is here. And like I have like all my cabinets here. My printer is right there. My TV, TV is still the same, but no. So my office is down here now. And so, but like if you were to hang out with me here, we would be hanging out upstairs because like it's kind of like there's nowhere else to sit here outside this leather chair, but it's like a bad angle for the TV, and I feel awkward just like sitting at my computer as you sat on like the leather chair, like in the background.
Right. Well, this is so interesting because for all this time, for like I always imagined in my mind that like you were like at your laptop, like on the couch in your living room and your laptop working, and then you would go down to your office like here and there or for the show. I don't know what that's kind of mind blowing to me. John Sanders, thank you for the
thank you, John. I appreciate it. He says you can sleep in different rooms. Well, the problem is like we have our bedroom, right? That's where she sleeps for now. We have the two we have the two other bedrooms. My daughter, my son sleep there. So we only have 3 bedrooms here. and then we have I have this basement here, and I could set up like a futon or something, pull out a futon. I guess I could do that, but the problem is that, like, if I go to bed, if I fall asleep at 4 o'clock, which I need to get work done. I can't go to sleep earlier than that. If I fall asleep at 4, my son will be up by 6:37, and he'll come down to the basement and he'll wake me up. Like that's the issue. Or I'll hear it. I'll hear it upstairs. So there's nowhere for me to sleep like right now at the same time as my wife. I just not possible.
So when you say you fall asleep, like, well, as you're working, are you're asleep seated upright in the chair?
Yeah.
Or like, are you like you find yourself on top of the keyboard, like head on the keyboard?
No, like usually I'll be like this or something, and like my hand is on the J key, which is where that.
Oh wow!
Everyone's keyboard is like has F and J have those things. I think they're for blind people. I think, but they have those tabs at the bottom of each key.
Yeah, it's not for blind people. It's I mean, maybe it is on some way. It's so it's where your index finger is supposed to be. It's your hands on the home row.
Yeah, but like do they do that for regular people, or I thought they did that for blind people, so they can type?
I thought I don't think I've ever met a keyboard that didn't have it. I'm a typist by trade. I've always been a strong typer, and I type for a living as a reporter. So yeah, I mean, it's a guide, but like I always feel for it when I put my hands on the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm in the 98th or 99th percentile of typers in the world.
Well, I used to play Mario Teaches Typing, and so I feel like I'm right there too.
There used to be this game. It was like an arcade game where you would have like you'd find in the arcades where like you had like one of those shotguns or something killing zombies and stuff. Yeah. It was called House of the Dead, but they had a typing one. It was called The Typing of the Dead. And the judges would come up to you and you had to like type the words, and if you typed them fast enough, like then they would die. But
funny.
I played The Typing of the Dead.
Yeah, no, Mario Teaches Typing was you would go through a level, but you'd have to type. And if you didn't type fast enough, Mario would fall into the pit or get hit by like a Koopa Troopa or something.
Yeah. Do you remember Mario Paint?
Oh yeah, I used to play Mario Paint all the time.
Yeah, I love remember the Fly Swatter game? That was on.
Yeah, I would always play music. I'd make music.
That was fun. That was a great game.
That was a good game. Yeah,
it utilized that mouse. Remember the mouse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was great.
It's the only game I ever used that for. Anyhow, sorry, we're getting far off track, and it's my fault. But y'all know what you signed up for, Walter Football Family. I appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, John.
For the super chat, I can't say enough. Just really helps us because
definitely
we can pay nothing otherwise. Use the money for earplugs. I use a white noise machine. I could use a white noise machine, but still, like the problem is, I feel like my son would run down to the basement and wake me up. Like he always does stuff like that. So he wouldn't listen to my wife. Like he just doesn't listen at this stage. They call it the terrible twos for a reason. Like he just doesn't.
Oh yeah.
And somehow he picks up every curse word. Like my wife said, I don't curse, but my wife like curses all the time, and he'll pick up every single word. And so, it's just a problem.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta say, I don't hear you curse very often. I usually don't either, unless I'm embellishing a story or a joke. Even though I cursed on the show a couple weeks ago, I can't even remember what I said. But that's
I like if I stub my toe, I'm like F, but I try not to curse because with all the kids around, just like
right,
not just me, but my sister's three daughters who are 7 or younger. Like I have so many nieces and nephews. Just I want to try. I don't want to be like responsible for them cursing, but.
I think like you ever go to like find yourself in a situation like this has only happened to me like a couple times where like you go out to dinner with people, like a group of people, and like maybe they're like swearing like pretty loudly around family. I hate that. It's like I don't want to be associated with you. I found myself in that situation a couple times in life. I don't know. I think it's uncouth. I find it uncouth, especially if there's like families around or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I hear that.
What do I know?
So anyway, we have Quacky's and Kenny's entrepreneurship ideas. Guys, sounds like an escort service without the bad, undeserved connotation.
That's not part of the deal. It's not part of the deal.
Roster comes together nice when stacking pretty with Jennings. Yeah, you could do Jennings. That's kind of like a sleeper thing, I guess. everyone's going to do Debo Kittle. You could do Jennings too. I like Jennings. I'm going to be playing in my fantasy leagues. So, well, when are you adding some sweet Mario stickers to your new background?
Yeah.
So the issue here is this is a door. So most of my background is a door, and I have these things here. And which, by the way, I don't know if you guys want to zoom in this this thing. Man. So my son made this like horrifying Halloween.
Oh my god, the
horrible.
unibrow.
Yeah, it's
the unibrow jack-o'-lantern.
The Anthony Davis pumpkin thing. I decided to put it up there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's so I have this. It's just I don't know where to put the stickers. I don't want to put it on the door. It's because it's like it's just the texture. I don't think that it would stick to the door. So that's the issue. Best part of Mario Paint was definitely the music. Yeah. There was like this one like dark sound like song. I don't know what it was called or whatever, but like it's just like it sounded like melancholy.
I remember the theme music. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that one. It was it's kind of like a very very dark sound like track in the game.
I remember the music pretty well too, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying I'll have to find it, but
I'd like to look that up too.
Just I'm dying right now. My man said I'm typist by trade. 99th percentile. Walt said I played Mario. I'm up there.
yeah. I'm in the 99th percentile. Walt played Mario typing for like 3.5 hours, but he got me.
Yeah. Mario teaches typing. Yeah.
No, I'm sure you're a great typist too. I mean, you're at your computer all the time. I mean, how could you not be at least decent? You know.
So. Oh yeah, I've been doing this since '99. So yeah, I feel like I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
All right. Anyway, I almost forgot we have one more game left.
Oh yeah, sorry.
The Dolphins Rams. The news here: Tyreek Hill might miss this game. He has a wrist injury, which is kind of flared up, so he's listed as questionable. So we'll see. I'd be a little surprised if he wouldn't play, but I guess you never know. I like the Rams. I think they're better coached. And I really don't trust Miami, but we have the circadian rhythms in play too. You have a West Coast team against an East Coast team at night. Generally, those teams do well. But no, I think the Rams can take advantage of Miami's weaknesses, which is against the run here. Whereas like Miami, the Rams don't do as well over the middle of the field. And I don't think Miami doesn't really attack that part, like outside of Devon Achane, but still, like they don't really go to Jonnu Smith that often, and maybe they did last week, but overall, like usually they don't. So I like the Rams here as well, and the Rams are getting their entire offensive line back. So Steve Avila and Jonah Jackson are two guards that they've been missing all year. They get them back this week, which is just big news for them. I said this to you. I think I said this to you yesterday. I said it to someone. I think it was you. If I were to bet a long shot right now, it would be to win the Super Bowl. It would be the Rams, like 50-1. Like I mean, like real long shot, like 35-1 or higher, or 41 or higher. I think the Rams are a really good team. I mentioned before they have the number 2 defense right now, and their offense is getting healthy. They got Nakua back, they got Cup back, they're getting their linemen back. They're well coached. Stafford obviously very good when he has his full complement with him. And the defense is playing well. So, like, why couldn't this team make a run? I like him 50-1. I might bet them. But anyway, who do you like here?
I like the Rams too. Here we go. We have another interconference on the road. Right. I like the Rams. Yeah, if nothing else, go for that. I don't have a strong opinion. I do like your thought about the as a long shot. I think you make a decent argument, especially for the value. I mean, what if they're around 50-1, if they just make the playoffs, then you're going to be in a good hedging opportunity.
Yeah.
And in relation to that, I mean, their schedule isn't. They do have some. They have. God, I can't stop stuttering. Stuttering Stanley. No, they have a couple tough games here with the Eagles. They've got the Bills. Of course, they're going to play the Giants again. But they do have some cupcakes too. They've got the Patriots, the Saints, the Jets. We'll see how they're doing by then. But I could definitely see them at least making the playoffs. So if you can get it at 50-1, that's you're like I said, you're going to be in a great hedging opportunity. I don't know. I just this Dolphins team, I can't make heads or tails of them whether Tua is in there or not. They've been underperforming very much. I mean, they've burned us many times this year. There's no way I can take them, especially interconference on the road, coming off a tough and close divisional loss. Give me the Rams here.
Yeah, Rams win total is over 8.5. Or it's set at 8.5 at plus money. I kind of like that.
Over 8.5 was plus money.
Yeah.
So what, they need to win 5 more? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, they need to win 5 more. The over 8.5 is plus 116 at FanDuel. This looks pretty good.
I like that. I mean, let's say they win this game. I think they probably will. I like them too. So if they could, they'll probably beat the Patriots. So there's Miami 1, Patriots 2, New Orleans 3. If we're just picking out the cupcakes here, and then they've got Arizona and Seattle.
I think Seattle's a 4, and then they just need to win one of
Eagles,
Arizona, Bills, Jets, San Francisco, Arizona.
Yeah, I definitely think that's doable. I definitely think that's doable. So, yeah. So
okay. That's yet another thing I might bet tonight. We'll see. We're doing a lot here. So we have some questions here. Why did the Rams go from 1 to -1 to -2? Sharp money. I think that's the Tyreek Hill news. As Jesse says, Rams opened -2.5. Sharps took it down to -1, and now news and Tyreek pushed it back. I will say this: that there's a syndicate. There's a betting syndicate that places a lot of money. They love the Rams at -1. The Sharps did take the Dolphins down from 2.5 to 1, but then the syndicate put a bet money on the Rams, and I think they took it to 1.5, and I think that kind of like coincided with the Hill news. So keep that in mind too. So it's conflicting sharp bets here. Some sharps like the Dolphins, some like the Rams. But as Evan, our co-host on Tuesday, has been saying, the sharps have been on the Dolphins like all year. And like it hasn't worked for the most part. It did last week, but for the most part, it hasn't. So just keep that in mind too. Who's losing between San Francisco, Philly, and the Chargers? The team most likely to lose. I mean, I don't know.
That's tough. I mean,
I can't think the Niners losing. I guess the Eagles, if they're looking ahead, maybe. I'd
say the Eagles too for the same reasons. I mean, they might be looking ahead. That's Eagles, Dallas historically is usually both teams are going to bring it no matter what their situations are with their record or injuries or anything like that. So I would probably say that. I mean, the Titans have just been pathetic all year. They're inept on offense for the most part, especially with Levis. I have a hard time seeing them beat the Chargers. And again, this is barring any sort of catastrophic mid-game injury to either of those teams. And then what was the other one? The 49ers at the Bucks. I guess you could make the argument for the Bucks, as they have really showed grit this year, and they've won some big games, but with all the injuries, the 49ers have all the confidence coming back, especially off of a bye, and with McCaffrey coming back, I got a tough time seeing that one. But I guess, I mean, to say who has the best chance, I guess you could make the argument for the Bucks too, but I'd go Dallas, I guess.
Yeah, Kimmy Giggle says that's his money line parlay. On Bookmaker, it pays plus 122. I don't know what odds you're getting, but I think it'll hit. I think you're on to something there. Chris says I bet the Rams to win the Super Bowl a few weeks ago, 151 to 1. Nice value. That's great. Good job with that.
Really.
That's great foresight there. So they're always anti-Eagle Quacky. I remember he said the Eagles were getting blown up by the Bengals.
I might have said that. Hey, first wrong pick I ever made. No, I'm not always anti-Eagle. That's not true. Remember, I was singing about him leading up to week 1. Walt can vouch for me. I love the Eagles in week 1. In fact, I'm not anti-Eagle because they're the only team that I have an open bet on right now to win the Super Bowl. I placed it before the season. So, I mean, maybe I was against them this week. I mean, I still think they're a really great team, and I still stand by my Super Bowl pick. I just think this is a weird spot for them, especially we're not winning in Dallas since 2017. Even with everything going against Dallas, I think there's a chance they could cover, but I'm not going to take that game either. But yeah, believe me, I still want the Eagles to win given my future there. So cut me some slack, Cinder.
you're anti-Eagle fan though, like not Eagle fan, Eagle fan sentiment, I should say.
Fair enough. Yeah, I am. Well, I mean, because it's worked so well over the years for us. I mean, that's something that we've talked about for how long. I mean, I can remember capitalizing on that as early as like 2008.
Mm-hmm.
You know, remember when we took the
Cardinals.
Cardinals? Oh my God! Yeah, easiest pick I ever made.
Yep.
I'll never forget. And I remember everyone was calling because I was living in Westchester, just outside Philadelphia at the time. And remember 610 WIP? I guess they still have it. I love 610. I used to call it.
It's 94 WIP now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they moved to FM. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I used to call in 610 all the time, and what was it, 97.5 The Fanatic. I used to call into that a lot. But I'll never forget when they, because remember that year the Eagles they crushed Dallas in the last game of the season to get into the playoffs. They beat Tavares Jackson in the Vikings game 1. They upset the number 1 Giants, and then they had to play the Cardinals in Arizona, and everyone was calling in 610. I remember, I already got my tickets to Tampa. The Super Bowl was in Tampa that year, and I remember thinking, oh no. Oh no! I called Walter right away. I probably texted you, or I M'd you maybe back then.
I'm the same.
Oh, jeez, those were the days. Those were the days. But yeah, I remember we talked at length, and I'll never forget because that was the biggest bet I had ever placed up to that point in my life. I bet $300 on the Cardinals +4, and I remember texting you that morning. I was working, and I texted you. I said, I'm so nervous because I feel like the Cardinals are so easy. And I think like 85% of the money was on the Eagles, and you just texted back. You're like, well, don't worry then, because everyone else is on the Eagles. Like you're not, like if that's your concern, then like you're fine.
Yeah.
Because I've always been, I mean, that's something I really learned from you. I mean, I've always been more comfortable going against the grain. Obviously, it doesn't always work out, but and that was, I think that was the first time I realized like I'm rather contrarian. I was nervous thinking that I was, in the majority there with that pick.
Yeah, so sometimes when you're contrarian and like you really follow the stuff, like sometimes you could be like too deep into the forest to see the trees,
Right. That's happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that was like the same sentiment there. Was like everyone's on the Eagles, but because like you were just like well ahead of the whole situation, you thought maybe you're like, oh, I like Arizona so much that everyone must be on Arizona. So it's
right. That's true. That's true. It's it's funny. 2 out of the 3 of the, or no, 3 out of the 4 of the easiest, or well, I don't know how many there are. 3 of the easiest picks I've ever made have involved the Eagles. 2 of them were the Eagles, and one of them was again that NFC Championship game that I just mentioned, where I took the Cardinals, and the other 2 were week 2.
Week 2 against the Vikings, and then week 1 this year.
Yep. Those were the 3 of the most confident picks I've ever made. So I followed them for, my whole life, even though I've been a Packers fan, living in Pennsylvania. And there was a while, like I didn't really care for the Eagles in the Andy Reid era. So at the time I used to kind of root against them in a way, but I always followed what they were doing. And then like later I really liked them, later on in life. But no matter what, whether I was dancing on their grave or happy to see them win, I was always following what they were doing. So I'd say I'd like to, maybe that's why, maybe I read them the best, even though I followed the Packers closer. You got to throw in, emotional bias as a fan. Whereas with the Eagles, I have no, emotional bias. I was happy when they won the Super Bowl, a handful of years ago. But yeah, that pick against the Vikings, I remember that morning, I was so nervous because I was, because you think when you're that sure about a play, and we had talked about that before the season started, Walter. I remember came over to your house. I know you remember too. We were talking about it. And I was like shaking in my car because I remember pulling up to a Wawa in the morning and I was shaking because I just thought, if I'm wrong on this, then I'm really going to have serious doubts about these feelings in the future, because I've only had them a few times where I felt that, or like seriously doubt my handicapping ability, which, hey, let's be honest, may be suspect at best sometimes, but you know what I mean? Like I was nervous of that. It's like, I would really be second guessing myself, I think, moving forward when it came to like just any plays, but we nailed it. Because I remember I made a video and I said, I took the Eagles -9. They were -2.5. I put 5 units on them, and I had 1 unit on Eagles -9, and it all hit. They won by 14.
Nice.
That was such an easy play, but I just thought, oh God, if it went sour, which I thought week 1 this year was going to. Oh, that was a tough one, but I knew that was another great win. But I love reminiscing. I hope the Walter football family enjoys our our story. Walter and I have been friends for 20 years now. We've hit past 20 years. It would have been in September. So we have stories forever. We could probably talk, as we've mentioned many times, for 24 hours straight. So I hope you all enjoy the stories of our life experiences as well.
Well, we had a 4.5 hour show on Tuesday. It was just like, that was pretty crazy. Actually, when Evan came on, I'm like, hey, Evan, can you talk for a little bit? I have to go to the bathroom. I've been sitting here for a long time.
Yeah, we've had six, not podcasts, but we've had 6 hour phone conversations.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember we've done 6 hours. That was pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But what's someone saying I should be the coach? You can't make an Eagle saying I should coach the Eagles.
Yeah.
Love that. Not? Yeah, why not? They might like me more than Sirianni. And I was born outside Philadelphia, so hey, I'm the son of the city, if you will.
It's true. It's true. What do you think of 49ers money line, Texas plus 7.5 at -102? I like this because
I like it.
I like it because you can middle it here, because if the Niners win, you have Texas plus 7.5. You could bet Detroit -3.5. Not the full amount, but like to a lesser extent, and try to middle it. And it could happen. Lions win by 7, Lions win by 6. Like those are two very likely results. I like this quite a bit.
Wouldn't you want to middle it with Lions money line? What if they only won by 1, 2, or 3? I mean, you still hit the Texans. I mean, you still hit the parlay, but yeah. I mean, I guess you could do that too if you're trying to. If you're confident,
the big's gonna be higher though. What's the big on the Lions money line? It's -182.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I guess it's probably more likely that you can get both. I mean, obviously that you can get both.
Something wild you could do is you could tease. I don't know. You could parlay the Lions money line with no, never mind. Hold on. You could tease. I guess you could tease up the Lions with the Dolphins, and like then you'd have. I don't know. No, never mind. I like that. So
I mean, I like that play. I mean, as far as the number with the juice, I mean, Walt will field that better than I can, but I think that'll hit. If I like it to hit, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I like it. Jesse, as a Quack, I got a question. You're the Green Bay guru. Green Bay -3, -115 at Chicago next week. Do you think that line moves to 3.5 after the Sunday slate? Thinking of locking that in now, anticipated -3.5.
Oh, well, I don't know if it will. I mean, certainly if the Bears have a poor showing, I think it certainly will. But I do like. I think it could, just because Packers off the bye. I think they're definitely going to be. I think they're going to be a team that the public likes. So yeah, I mean, I definitely could see it going up over to 3.5. So if you like him now, yeah, I think it's probably a good idea to lock him in at 3. -115. That let Walt weigh in on that. He knows that stuff better than I do. If that's a good number, but I think it's definitely possible that it could move to -3.5. So for what?
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like the vig only matters if there's 3 out there and a 3.5 out there, and you're comparing. Like the -3, -115 doesn't really. It's just, you're not comparing it to any -3.5s as far as I know. But no, I agree with what you said. But I think there's a better chance than not that the Bears demolish the Patriots, and if that happens, then the line might fall. You could get -3, -110. So, right. But like, I don't think this is a bad number. Like, you're like, is it going to go 2.5? Like, probably, I don't know. Maybe, I don't think it's going to go to much less than that, but it could hit 2.5. But I don't know. I think you're probably safe, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're, and I'm not, if you're of the belief that the Bears could lose to the Patriots, then it certainly will. I would imagine, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Bears are going to win pretty handily. Geez, you're talking about that hedging the Lions. I remember, so back when I used to book bets, I remember one time this guy put in a parlay. It was like a 5 or 6 game parlay, and it was all sports. And the last leg, it was late at night. The last leg was a college basketball game, and in the parlay, he got him at -9, I think, or I'm sorry, got him at +9, whatever the team was. As the day went on, he called that early in the day. As the day went on, the line moved to 7, so he hedged, and that was the last leg he needed. So he took the other team, so he had a +9, had the underdog +9. Then he hedged with the other team -7, and the other team won by 8, and he got both.
Oh my god! Wow.
What are the chances of that? That was, yeah. So we had to. Yeah, I was when I was booking bets. Yeah, we had to pay that one. Those didn't happen too often, but that does happen. I mean, that middling, and that's and you have a lot more room with a few more points there in that Lions example. But I couldn't believe it. The 1 point. I mean, they had to for both of those to hit. It had to be exactly 8, and that's what it was. That was wild.
That's crazy.
So,
that must have hurt paying that out. They both out.
Oh yeah. That was a tough beat. But I mean, being on the house side of it, we didn't have too many of those.
Yeah.
Of course. So what's funny? They always say that like you remember your bad beats more than the big wins. At least they say that in poker. But you know what? I'm trying to think like what are some like really bad beats? I mean, we've had a few the last couple of years with in the super contest. We've had some. Yeah. But I feel like there's got to be a couple, and I'm talking about betting beats that I'm just like there's got to be some obvious ones that I'm just not thinking about. But one that comes to what's that?
Go ahead. We'll finish that.
One that comes to mind, I know for you, I'm sure was remember the 2007 finals game 4, and I think the Spurs were -3 and they hit a couple free throws at the end of the game. They were up 4, and with like 0.3 seconds. Cleveland just threw up a meaningless 3 and it hit.
Yeah.
And the Spurs won by 1. Oh, I remember you texted me after, and you're like, I sat in the corner and said nothing for like 3 hours. That's a tough one. I mean, I don't think I've ever had like a big play that. I mean, I'm trying to think that really went sour like that. I mean, I don't really make like big bets unless I'm really sure. Unless I really feel strongly.
Yeah.
But I really can't think of too many. Geez, how about Houston last year? Remember when their kicker got hurt and they kneeled it in the convert? Oh my God. Yeah. We had a -2.5 and they won by 2 because they didn't have a kicker and just kneeled the point after.
Brutal. That was horrible. Or Mac Jones taking a safety on the final play.
Oh,
that was horrible. Week 1 this year, Titans blowing a 17-0 lead without giving up an offensive touchdown. Week 2, I had the Giants who lost their kicker. They had to go for 2 every time. They couldn't convert once. And then the Neighbors drops a 4th down pass at the end. And I mean, there have been some other weird beats, but yeah, I mean, we've had a lot over the years.
I remember a bad one. Okay, well, we were on the Packers. That was 18-19.
Yeah,
that was 18-19.
We had the Packers there, so
Walter, you bought a Todd Gurley jersey after that and wore it on that show.
I did. I said I was going to wear a Todd Gurley jersey on the show because he did that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about. I remember we put them on the card too 2 seasons ago. We took the Texans over the Browns. I think the Texans were +8, and it was Deshaun Watson was coming back it was his first game back from the suspension against his old team, and I was like, I love the Texans here, and the Browns didn't score a single offensive touchdown and still covered. They won like 21-10 or something. I couldn't believe it. It was like a punt return touchdown, a kickoff return touchdown, and I think an interception. Like I can't. It was all special teams touchdowns. They scored 3 of them, and it was weird. Like the Texans were up like 5-0 early. They had a safety, and I was just like, this is great. It's like how can you not give up a single offensive touchdown and still not cover +8?
Yeah,
it's just maddening. But that was the year that they finished with the worst record and got CJ Stroud, so it all turned around.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that was so maddening. That was so maddening. How does that happen? +8, and you don't give up. I mean,
I know. There have been a lot of bad beats. I wanna like publish a book of all these bad beats I've had. I had one in the CFL. I told you it's about this one. Edmonton Eskimos -1.
Oh yeah.
I know that syndicate I mentioned that like the Rams, they also took the Eskimos at +1.5.
The Elks.
So they put the Eskimos went from +1.5 to -4.5. And so they also bet the other side's Toronto +4.5 to middle. They actually did because the Eskimos won by 1. But
it's the Elks, by the way.
No, it's the Eskimos.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Eskimos. Yeah, you're typing in. They changed from Eskimos to Elks, but that's pretty racist against Eskimos. So it was.
Oh, they used to be the Eskimos.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know why they hate Eskimos to remove them from the lexicon here, but anyway, Edmonton had a touchdown lead twice in the fourth quarter. So keep in mind, I had -1.5. The syndicate had +1.5. I got -1.5. I thought, okay, we're still okay. They had 2 touchdown leads in the fourth quarter. Toronto gets like a last-second touchdown to send it to overtime. And like, okay, all right, we can still win in overtime, right? And I see Edmonton scores 1 point in overtime on the stupid Rouge play, and they ended up winning by 1. And I had -1.5. It's like, come on,
Same.
How do you okay? This Rouge rule is whatever. It's Canadian rules. How do you win on a Rouge in overtime? You should be able to win on a Rouge in overtime.
I agree. I agree, and because I had -2.5, and I remember thinking, because remember I texted you and Jacob. And I said, consider because I sent you a video of the CFL rules because I knew about the Rouge. I didn't know how it was scored, but I knew about it. I was like, hey, just consider this. And I remember telling myself, I was like, maybe I should just take the money line. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
And of course I should have, but it's the 1 point Rouge. That's that sucked.
Yeah.
But,
so anyway, the syndicate also it's the same one that likes the Rams in this game. So we'll see. Maybe at -1.5, maybe the Rams will win by 1 again. No Rouge, but still.
Just take the money line then, and we don't have to have this conversation again.
It's very true. Yeah.
Anyway. Man. So
I guess that's about it. Unless you have anything else you want to bring up.
I guess I'm trying to think here. DFS, should I double up Kittle and Kmet? The K's, give the K's K day.
Yeah, you could do that. I like Taysom Hill as well, but yeah, you can. I think this is the week to do double tight end because you have no real value. So outside of Ray McLeod, there's nothing there for value. So how do you get value? You play double tight end, right? So Kimiko says, nothing like having the Kurt Warner Cardinals first half. They lead the ball inside the pit 5, and Warner throws a 99-yard pick 6. That sucks.
I wanted the Cardinals to win that Super Bowl so bad.
Me too.
I remember I put a nice bet on the Cardinals +7 that hit, and I bet the Cardinals every round that year. Actually, I didn't against the Panthers, but all the 3 games. I don't know why I didn't take the Panthers. I didn't touch that game.
That was the Jake Delhomme,
the Mafia
kidnapped son.
Yeah, ransom. Didn't someone say give you a hard time for saying that?
I made it for those who didn't read back then. Delhomme was having a great year, and then he just was awful, so bad.
They're the 1 seed.
Yeah, he was so bad against Arizona in that round of the second round of the playoffs that I was like, there has to be someone who kidnapped his son and is
completely joking,
right? And then I got an email from someone who was like, you shouldn't joke about his son getting kidnapped. And I actually looked it up. It's he doesn't have a son. He has 2 daughters. I'm like, hey, look at this. I showed them the wiki page. I'm like, look, he doesn't have a son.
There you go. Yeah, I remember that. And I also, in that Super Bowl, I bet Larry Fitzgerald to score a touchdown, and he had 2. Jeez,
he had that long touchdown over the middle of the field. That was great.
The first one was a 1-yarder, I remember. And then, he was just like that. He crossed right through the middle of the field, and no one could catch him, man. That was prime Larry Fitzgerald. I was so upset when they lost that game. I still hit all my bets. I think I won for at the time those were pretty big. I put 200 on the Cardinals, I remember, so it was pretty substantial for me at the time. But
you bet 300 on the Cardinals the round before. So
it was a good time for a broke college student at the time. I could probably shouldn't have been betting that much, given how broke I was at the time. But hey, it worked out all right.
It worked. You made the right move.
2000. That's crazy. 2008. What were you going to say?
No, I was just reading this comment. James Harrison.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. All right.
And you know what? Even though, real quick, sorry. Even though Jesse, that James Harrison play, I wanted the Cardinals to win, but that's not. I don't know why. I hate that play. I know that's an iconic NFL play and one of the greatest in Super Bowl history. I hate that play. I don't know why. I don't know why. I absolutely hate it. Everything about it. And I don't know why I feel that way. But I mean, maybe because you could say, but I don't think it's because I wanted the Cardinals to win, because they still could have won. Probably should have.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't know, and I always like I didn't not like I had anything against Harrison. I don't know. I just something about that play. I never liked it. But yeah, that sucked too. I mean, especially in the moment because that put them up by 10, I believe, and I'm over here with like sweating +7 over here. And then at the halftime, I'm thinking it's like, wait, these are the Cardinals. Like, you know what I mean? Like at the time, they had never really been good. So so yeah, that was that same Super Bowl, and then I can't even don't tell me. I can't even think of who's the receiver that caught for the Steelers. Like he got Super Bowl MVP. I can't even think of his name. Walt, not Wallace. Good God, I can't think.
Yeah, I'm having issues too. It's not right. Bird. It's not Bird.
No, right corner of the end zone. I can picture he was like a big receiver for them.
Yeah.
Santonio Holmes. That's right.
Holmes. Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse. I could not think of his name. I can't believe that. He was I can't believe I could remember that. I saw this thing recently on it was like top 10 like most forgotten moments of like the NFL playoffs or like Super Bowl. And it was and one of them in the top 10 was like forgotten moment. Like people forgot that Plaxico Burress caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl because everyone remembers the helmet catch. Remember that 07 year. And there were like a bunch of pundits, like they're interviewing them. They're like, really? He did? Like, I don't even remember that. It's like, how do you not remember that?
That's weird.
Maybe they're just doing it for the show and like acting, to like, oh, this is a forgotten moment. See, even these guys don't remember. It's like, you don't remember that. You're a freaking dweeb. Come on. If you're paying any attention, Plaxico Burress. I mean, come on. That's a name. Like I just feel like you should remember for many reasons, like on and off the field things that happen. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see how, like, if you, I don't want to be unfair here, but like you're a pundit for like the NFL and like you don't remember that. Come on. I just think, granted, if you weren't alive to watch it or something like that, or you were too young and weren't watching football at the time, I could maybe see that.
Right.
But I'm surprised. So maybe I know more than them. Probably not.
Well, he's known for shooting himself, I think, primarily. But he did catch that touchdown. I don't know how people don't know that either. It seems like fairly obvious. It's like an obvious thing to know.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see that, but it just made me think like maybe some people don't like, how I can remember a lot of things about games. I could sit here and tell you like who won like the NBA finals, like from 1990 to present day. I might miss a few now, maybe, but I could tell you who won, who they beat, and how many games it took. I did that a few years ago for my dad and his girlfriend. We were hanging out, and I was like, I bet I can do that right now. And she brought up Wikipedia. I won 100%. I got everyone right.
Nice.
So like, I don't know, maybe I just have a weird mind. Like, and maybe I just remember things. So, but to me, I thought that one was obvious. So
yeah,
the Jermaine Kearse fabulous catch set of the.
Yeah. I mean, he's talking
about forgotten moments. Fair enough. That's a good one too. They definitely would have talked about that one if the Patriots had lost that game. I still submit though, or rather, I still suggest that I think there was 35 seconds on the clock before that infamous 1-yard interception on the one, rather.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was 35 seconds, and I'm pretty certain the Patriots had one timeout. I'm telling you what, if the Seahawks do score there and they go up 31-28, that game is still not over. That game is, they only need a field. Obviously it's a position you'd rather not be in if you're the Patriots, but that game's not over yet. And another big moment in playoff history was the Minneapolis Miracle, the Diggs touchdown. Okay, like if he had gotten tackled there, he probably would have gone out of bounds, thus stopping the clock and setting up a field goal. They were only down by 1. So obviously it was much more memorable because it was a crazy play and he scored. But that was, I think even if he got tackled out of bounds there, and it looks like he would have if you look at the replay, in my opinion, I think they would have, and indoors too. So the field goals are a little bit easier indoors. I still think they could have won that game. I don't think it like that had to happen that way necessarily. And I think that's why they threw it where they did.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest, I know a lot of people don't like Joe Buck. Sorry, I'm just rambling here, everybody. I hope you enjoy the stories. I know a lot of people don't like Joe Buck. I'm not a huge fan of his. I don't dislike him, but I think he can be condescending. But that call on the Diggs play, that's one of my top 5 calls of all time. I'm a big fan of commentators and especially, obviously the ones that do it best. That was a great call. Diggs, sideline, touchdown, Vikings win it, or unbelievable, Vikings win it. That's all you needed to say in that moment.
Yeah.
Just like one thing at a time, and like the timing and the cadence of it was perfect. You know, I'm not a huge fan of his, but I have to but you have to give it to him there. I saw this thing on Al Michaels, who's one of my all-time favorites, when he called, you know, passes intercepted by Malcolm Butler. It's like, can you imagine if you missed that call?
Yeah.
The magnitude, I mean, that'll be remembered forever. But I saw this interview, I think he was on the Dan Patrick show, and where he has like a teamster like pointing like with a sheet in front of him. Like that's like they're looking at the number and they see, because it's like Malcolm Butler, it's not, you know, it's not like it was Darrell Revis or something, like a cornerback. You know what I mean? Like you definitely recognize like that wasn't a household name until he did that. So like if you have to nail that in real time, you know, with a name that probably you might not even be as familiar with, you know, because he's not like a big name player. But a play like that, an interception on the one in the Super Bowl, like you can't mess up that call. And Al Michaels nailed it. I mean, perfect call.
Yeah.
So
No,
in one game that'll be remembered. So I mean, could you imagine? Because you know they're going to play that play forever. If you screw up that call, like that'll be, you know, you'll live in infamy forever, and nobody wants that.
Well, that's why they put the best announcers in the Super Bowls. Like,
very true.
Yeah,
very true. So
you don't have like Joe Schmo announcing the game. Like there was one game like a couple weeks ago. It might have been the Denver Carolina game. Like I didn't even recognize who the announcers were.
Yeah,
because it was like week 8 and there were more games than usual, and so I guess they had to have like one announcing crew that usually doesn't do any games. I'm like, who are these guys? I've never heard these voices before ever. I just had no idea who they were.
Yeah, you know, I'm telling you, I really think, now I'm not talking about the big guy, the Al Michaels of the world and that sort of thing, but like some of these like like NBC like local markets and stuff, you know, like NBC Philadelphia or whatever, you know, they have, you know, commentators that aren't, you know, obviously as well known. I'm telling you, Walt, I've watched a lot of different ones of those. I think I could go in and do better than them as like, yeah, I would need a little and like obviously there's going to be nuances with the broadcast, like there's going to be cues and things I need to, you know, and buttons I need to hit or whatever, and like I would be behind the curve on that. But as far as the comments and the timing, I'm telling you, I've heard some commentators where I think I could go in just from the commentating perspective and do better than they could.
Well, it's a low bar here in Philly because we used to have Kevin Riley.
Oh yeah,
and Don Tollefson, who like Kevin Riley used to be like, my Philadelphia Eagles are going to stop Maurice Drew Jones.
MDJ.
You could get any names right. He only cared about he always said my Philadelphia Eagles. Always.
I remember
my Philadelphia Eagles. Like as if like he's like the big super fan. Like
yeah. I remember they used to have Herm Edwards call the preseason games.
Yeah, he hated Kevin Riley hated Herm Edwards. He would just like cut him off at every time.
Herm wasn't great either at the play-by-play. I didn't think, and I like Herm Edwards, but
yeah. I don't know if you remember that. Here, you pretend to be Herm Edwards, and I'm going to be Kevin Riley. It's like, Herm, what do you think of this play the Eagles just ran? My Philadelphia Eagles just ran.
Well, I think that in the
back after these messages.
Wow, I didn't watch enough of those broadcasts. Like I only caught a few of them.
Yeah.
But Kevin Riley, yeah, I do remember him.
Yeah,
he was.
Don Tollefson was the other color analyst, and he went to prison for defrauding senior citizens of like $250,000.
And my God.
Yeah, I think he's out, but yeah, he went to prison for a few years, and he said Nnamdi Asomugha when the Eagles got him. He's like, I bet there are a lot of women in the Delaware Valley lining up to cook and clean for Nnamdi Asomugha. What a weird thing to say.
What the hell? That's just so freaking weird.
I know.
Lining up to cooking. Jesus H, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah, it's, you know, another one that I think my least favorite commentator is definitely Bob Costas. You don't see him too much. He's so condescending.
I think he retired. I think I heard recently that he retired.
I think I've seen him. He was commentating something recently, and then every now and then you see him like doing those like in the studio little little exposés on like something like off the field. It's like, oh, look at all the tribulations this player had to go. Like one of those little things that they do. Like I've seen him hosting like those sorts of things, but maybe he retired completely. I don't know. I always thought he was an ass. Very condescending. Remember when Dennis Rodman did the WWE thing, like in the finals, and then Bob Costas said, because like Rodman, of course, he was a force to be reckoned with. For those of you that didn't watch NBA in the 80s and 90s, Rodman is one of my favorite players of all time, and maybe the best on-ball defender ever, depending on who you ask. But anyhow, so like he was doing well in the subsequent game, and Costas, he like Rodman, who didn't score often, scored a basket, and Costas goes, off the court, his tired freak show continues, but on the court, it's like, shut up, dude. Like, you know what it is? It's because it's something like, it's everything, like doing something like that. Rodman is everything that Costas is against. And that's why, you know what I mean? And it's just like his tired freak show continues. It's like, you're talking about you're talking about an NBA legend, bro. You're talking about an NBA legend. I don't care what you think. Like, so dumb. Anyhow, what do we got here?
Yeah, Costas decided before the season that he would retire after 2024. It also says Costas received the National Basketball Hall of Fame's award for broadcast excellence in 2018. How do you feel about him getting an excellence award for broadcasting?
I mean, he called baseball for a very, and basketball too. But
yeah,
geez, they must be handing those awards out to anyone, huh?
Yeah.
No, look, I mean, at the end of the day, like I guess the X's and O's of what he does like isn't bad, but like obviously if they think he's he's very well known. I'm not saying I just think he's very condescending, and he's he should I don't know. He doesn't have the same appreciation. I'm sure it's hard to, as like a regular fan would. I don't know. I think he's very condescending, and it's just you can tell just like as soon as you look at him, like he thinks he's better than you. I don't like that. So
I always had the same feeling. It's like could you imagine having a beer with Bob Costas at a bar? Like I could never do that.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, I mean, I don't drink, but in theory, no, right. I couldn't either. Yeah. I couldn't either. But it's just, yeah, I don't like him, and he doesn't have any of my favorite calls either. So
I can't remember any calls he's made except for that one Rodney said thing.
Yeah, I can't think of. I mean, I remember you'd see him everywhere in the 90s, but then since then, like I haven't really seen him. I can't remember the last time I saw him on like a major broadcast, but I might just miss him too. Noah Gray.
You have Noah Gray for the early game on DFS. Not with Hopkins there. I feel like you take stuff away from Noah Gray. Like I said, there are just so many good tight ends this week to make a punt play on tight ends. Like I listed them before. I'll list them again. Like my favorite tight ends this week: George Kittle, amazing matchup. He could hit for 20. Cade Otton, same. San Francisco's been weak to tight ends lately, and he's the number one receiver in Tampa, so he could go for 20 as well. Kyle Pitts playing a Saints team that just allowed Jatavian Sanders to go off. He could hit 20 as well, probably less so, but still. Cole Kmet, he caught no passes last week, but they've been talking about getting him involved more. And New England is horrible against tight ends, and then you have Taysom Hill, where like the Saints' top 3 receivers are out, so he has to catch passes, and he still gets the goal line stuff too. So like all those guys, like those 5 guys, I would play 2 of them actually. I isn't saying that like playing a tight end of flex is something you should probably do this week because there's no other values. But like all these guys could go off. And so like I just have issues playing someone like Noah Gray, who's like, Noah Gray most weeks, like if he gets 7 or 8 for you, like you're kind of happy. But here, like you're going to be missing out. It's like opportunity cost loss. Like you're going to be missing out on like a 20 plus from one of these guys. I guarantee one of these guys will hit for 20 plus. And so you're going to want one of them in your lineup, or maybe two of them go for 20 plus, and like you'll need both of them in your lineup to win. So I wouldn't play Noah Gray.
I got a question for you, Walt. Have you ever? Is this a thing? Like, have you ever tried the angle of like putting a lot of like 4:00 players in the lineup, and then maybe just like 2 or 3 in the 1:00, and then if they do really well, then you have like the ability to kind of move that around, or like know what you have to beat, or know that you have a very good chance. Have you ever taken that approach? Is that a stupid approach, or do you think people do that? Because that's happened to me. That's happened real quick. Sorry, but that's happened to me by chance a couple times where it's like I didn't even realize, I didn't, not meaning to do it. I've had like 3 players that like went off in the 1 o'clock games, and it's like I'm already like really high in the standings, and I have so many players left, and I mean, I've never won like a huge cash, but have you ever, but like at that point you're like, oh, I guess at the same time you're going to second guess, like, should I sub them out now? But I don't know. Do you find that there's any advantage to that, or not really, or is it worse?
I mean, there's like, you should have some in the late games because it does allow you to late swap. So basically, if you're doing really well with your early guys, then you can play the chalk. Whereas like if you're behind, if you're not doing so hot, but you still have a chance to cash, then you probably want to play like the lesser owned guys to kind of like get ahead of everyone. But if your lineup looks terrible, then you just don't need to do anything because it won't matter. So for football, like you should probably have some to late swap. This is better for basketball because basketball you get injury news late, and so I feel like a lot of people will put in like early guys. I've seen like people put in early guys just so they can say they're in first. It's like, this is so stupid. Hey, look, it's 7:30. I'm in first place. Like, well, you have eight of 9 guys or 7 of 8.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Take a picture to last longer.
Right, exactly. So, but it's better to have all late guys so you can play the news. And so I've won GPPs doing that. Like in basketball, I've won 3 like regular size GPPs. In basketball, just playing the injuries. And so the one best one was this was actually 3 days before COVID started. No, it was 2 days before COVID started. It was a Monday, and like the Milwaukee Bucks like announced like 10 minutes before the game that they were benching everyone.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I got, because I only had like 2 guys going early, I got all of the Bucks out of the lineups. And I didn't put in any subs. I just put in guys from different games. I ended up winning that GPP just because I had so much flexibility because I didn't have any players taken early. Whereas like a lot of people already had like 5 guys going or something, and so I was able to make subs and just take advantage of it that way. So NBA used to be my best sport DFS, like by far. I'll say that like NBA DFS is a single man sport. Like if you have, you could be married, whatever, but like if you have kids, like you can't play NBA DFS. You just can't, because you need to be at your computer the entire night until the final game goes. Like once the final game goes, you can step away, but you have to be on top of the injuries. Like if you don't, then you should not be playing NBA DFS at all, because like the advantage you get from being able to swap out from late injury news is just dwarfs anything, because a lot of people don't do that. Yeah, some people obviously do, but like most people playing this contest don't, and that just gives you such great leverage over the field. So, yeah. So that's the key too. You have to be a single man with no kids. So to play NBA DFS, that's the most important attribute.
A single man with I'm sure that it's got to help.
No.
All right. Okay. Well,
last comment. Baseball broadcasts will never be the same. We lost all the great radio broadcasters, but it paint a picture with their words because there was no TV. Rest in peace, Vince Scully. Yeah. That was, we lost. Who's the Phillies guy? Harry Callis. Yeah.
Wow, I'm doing terrible on remembering names tonight. I don't know what my deal is.
Yeah. So yeah, he's missed. He had such a good voice too.
Yeah, he really did. He did NFL films content as well.
Yep. Yeah, he did. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. Thank you, especially to John Sanders for the 411 super chat. Again, really appreciate it. This helps so much. So just thank you so much. And please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be appreciated, and good luck with your bets tomorrow. Hope we sweep the board and get everything right, and we can celebrate next week. Next week we have a full slate. It's Tuesday with Evan. Kenny's gonna be off Wednesday again. I have a guest lined up this Wednesday, and then Thursday we have Andy coming on, and then Saturday, Tom, you're gonna be on, I assume.
I'll
Saturday.
be here.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, looking forward to that. Everyone have a great night and morning watching this final European game and the rest of the day. And I will talk to you later.
Thanks,
hold on. I forgot. Do you want to plug something, Tom? Maybe you're.
Yeah. I mean, the Twitter, I guess, or Twitch rather. I haven't been on in a while, but yeah, if you'd like to see Rocket League, I got to check. It's been a while. 4-time Rocket League Silver Tournament champion. I've won Platinum Tournament champion since. Yeah, and it's just me. I mean, if you enjoy the show, what I bring to this show, that's pretty much it. All I do on there is just ramble about all sorts of nonsense and things that I think about. So while I'm playing video games, so I would appreciate the follow, and we'll see you on there.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Have a good night, and talk to you later.
See y'all.